From Orchard Park, New York, CBS Sports presents the National Football League, the New England Patriots, and the Buffalo Bills. Today's game is being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television.
Well, we'll be there. If you love football, Sunday at 1 in Orchard Park would be a great place to be.
We met with Tom Brady last night. He and the Patriots very ready for today. Under 10 miles an hour on the wind, 64 degrees. Rich, a beautiful day for football. Tom Brady seemed very calm. Of course, every time we talk to him, he seems calm and uncontested in terms of his thoughts and his navigating any kind of game coming up.
Well, this isn't his first rodeo, Kevin. He's been in a lot of games like this. This is what you live for. These are divisional games on the road, meaningful games. And, of course, the Bills have a new coaching staff, a new philosophy, a new quarterback. There's been a lot of talk coming out of Buffalo this week. These are the games that Tom Brady and his teammates get up for. This is going to be a great one here in Buffalo.
At the flip of the coin, the Patriots won the toss. They have deferred, so the Bills will send back Percy Harvin, who has come to this team, his fourth team in 4 years. But he thinks he has found a home in this Buffalo offense. They'll use him all over the place. Steven Gostkowski has the ball teed up at his own 35. The Buffalo Bills beat the Colts here last week, 27-14. But the Bills, Rich, have lost 26 of their last 29 to the Patriots.
And it's a real problem. I think that's the first thing that Rex Ryan addressed when he got in front of this team way back in February, Kevin. They've got to change the culture and the environment, and it starts with taking care of business against the Patriots.
Harvin's going to leave it in the end zone. Touch back to the 20. This takes us to the quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, who technically did not start at quarterback last week. He ended up going wide on the first play. Castle was under center.
Yeah, but I really felt he handled himself well last week, Kevin. I think we're all curious to see if he can build on last week's performance against better competition.
Big question today for this offense for the Bills. What kind of production will they get out of McCoy, who, as we said, is not 100%, and wide receiver Sammy Watkins, who did not catch a pass last week. With the 1st and 10, this is McCoy. They jump on him, with Salinga making the stop after a gain of 4. This is their line. Richie Incognito graded the highest. In fact, as Rex Ryan told us Friday, he was terrific. He really protects that pocket inside. And we talked about LeSean McCoy. He's had numerous 1,000-yard seasons. Came here in a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. 2nd down and 6. That's Charles Clay, 85. He is in motion. Former Miami Dolphin to the air. Taylor, and he can run. And he's got the 1st down. Getting a block from Clay and then ushered out of bounds by Collins. A run, Rich, of 23 yards. They take it to the 47 of Buffalo.
And this is what you have to be. You have to be so disciplined. Go ahead and run it. You'll see the pressure, but you have to be so disciplined with your rush lanes because all he needs is a little window or a little gap, and he's off to the races. You have to set the edge, force him to sit in the pocket, and function as a pocket passer, but you can't give him lanes to scramble.
Last week, Taylor took it 9 times against that Colt defense and rushed for 41 yards. Here is another 1st and 10. Pistol with some oomph. Good block there. LeSean McCoy into the secondary. Brought down by Terrell Brown. 15-yard pickup and a good block by the fullback, Jerome Felton. Ninkovich, a familiar name on that line. Chandler Jones on the other side. Branch used to play for Buffalo. Collins, Mayo, and Dante Hightower on the outside. Secondary is different now. There's the Super Bowl hero, Malcolm Butler. Gone is Revis, gone is Browner, gone is Arrington. So a 15-yard run right there by McCoy. And Felton, who used to block for Adrian Peterson of Minnesota, is the fullback here again. With the 1st and 10. Taylor on the screws. Sammy Watkins got away, brought down by Butler, squirms his way to the 26 on a gain of 11 yards through the air.
Well, he did a really nice job throwing the ball on 1st down last week against the Colts. 6 of 7. They run it so well on 1st down. A lot of opportunities, a lot of one-on-one looks outside the numbers on 1st down.
Watkins with nothing received last week in that game. In fact, he wasn't even targeted until late in the game against Indianapolis after a 65 reception season last year. 1st and 10 from the 27. Felton the block. Time for Taylor. Cordy Glenn the block at the left tackle. A little bit high for the rookie Carlos Williams. And the coverage by Jamie Collins of the Patriots.
We talked about the new coaching staff here in Buffalo. Of course, you've got a new offensive coordinator. So you got to ask yourself, who are they? This is an offense that's clearly committed to running the football. Make no mistake about that. They ran the ball on more than 65% of their offensive plays last week. And that's what Rex wants to do. He wants to run the football, beat you up in the defensively, create turnovers in field position, and be sound in the kicking game.
Patriots have 4 in the secondary. 2nd down and 10. McCoy with a good cut. Watkins, in fact, threw a block, as did Gray. McCoy runs for 8. Earlier, he ran for 15 on this drive.
And he was so productive for both Andy Reid and Chip Kelly in Philadelphia, and he can do it all. He's got great vision and cutting ability, and he's so good at making the first defender miss.
Logan Ryan is coming as an extra defensive back for the New England Patriots. 3rd down and 2. Opening drive. Quarterback had a run for 23. Big play on this drive so far. 3rd and 2. Hacks McCoy. Brought down by Dante Hightower. He slices his way to the 15 on a gain of 4 with another Buffalo 1st down.
And you see McCoy come off and Carlos Williams come in. His first carry last week was for a touchdown. They will use all 3 running backs in this system.
2nd tight end has come in, Matthew Mulligan. Running back is Carlos Williams, the rookie. Williams had a touchdown run last week. He's belted about the 13-yard line. He was hit by Hightower, and it's a gain of 2.
He's a bit of a tone setter, Kevin, when you think about running backs. I mean, he's a guy that's used to lining up in the I formation and really just running between the tackles. Very strong and good once he gets up on the 2nd level. But they've got a nice little change-up now with what they have in LaShawn McCoy. And then they bring in the bigger backs in terms of Boobie Dixon and Carlos Williams.
9th play of the drive, 2nd down and 2. Make it 2nd down and 8. Taylor, Hogan, out of bounds inside the 5. He was forced there by Logan Ryan. He picks up 10.
When they get in that bunch set, you're going to see Hogan, he starts inside and then he works right back out. So you get all the flow and the motion away from you, and then they wind up bootlegging out the back door. Good design by Greg Roman.
They told us that Hogan may have a bigger part in today's game.
Yeah, he's a smart player, Kevin. Very good in the slot.
In the secondary, 1st and goal at the 2. Easy touchdown. Carlos Williams, a 2-yard touchdown run.
Well, this is where Buffalo is really good. Eric Wood inside, Richie Incognito. You see the push they get, the kick out by the right guard, John Miller. Too easy for Carlos Williams.
Carlos Williams with his 2nd rushing touchdown as a pro on a 10-play, 80-yard drive. With the extra point put in by Dan Carpenter. On that drive, a 23-yard run by Taylor, 15-yard and 8-yard runs by McCoy. Then the rookie takes it in. 2-yard touchdown run, Carlos Williams. That was a pretty significant way to begin the game for the Bills.
That's how you want to do it. 10 plays, 80 yards, and a nice job mixing it up. A little bit of run and pass on 1st down, and a good way to finish for Carlos Williams.
Here's Jordan Gay, who is the only true kickoff specialist in the NFL. And it goes over the head of deep back man Dion Lewis, who had his fingerprints all over that Pittsburgh win a week and a half ago. Here comes your Super Bowl MVP, Brady, down 7-zip.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. The Lincoln Motor Company and the entirely new Lincoln MKX. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL.
So we've seen a 2-yard touchdown run by Buffalo, and here's Brady, and look at the record he has and the numbers he's put up in his career against the Buffalo Bills. With a touchback, it is a 1st and 10 for New England. This is Gronkowski, who grew up in the area. Manny Lawson drives him out of bounds. Minimal gain on the play. Call it about a yard. This is the line. And a second consecutive start for the undrafted rookie out of Georgia, David Andrews. Stork is still injured and concussed. LeGarrette Blount was suspended last week. Back in the lineup today as a starter. 2nd down and 9. Lewis is in the backfield. Buffalo has 5 in the secondary. Edelman, boy, they were on him quick. There's Aaron Williams, a gain of a yard on the play. They welcome back Marcel Darius on that line. First team All-Pro, terrific. Brown in the middle, leads him in tackles. Bradman Lawson on the wings. This is the secondary. Darby's a rookie. Williams just made that tackle. A very good game last week against Indianapolis. And Andrew Luck, 3rd down and 8 for Tom Brady. How in the world can he communicate with this noise? Unbelievable. Rich, you've been in this position. What do you do?
Well, Kevin, you don't see that very often. The first 3rd down of the game, Brady's forced to burn a timeout, and just it's so loud. He's trying to make the calls up front. Remember now, he's got a rookie in there at the center position in David Andrews. So, you got to make sure that everybody's on the same page. That's the one thing that offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels told us last night. We can't let Buffalo dictate how this game is played. And it's going to be a physical challenge we have to stand up to. But most importantly, we have to be on the same page. If we make a mistake, let's all 11 of us make the same mistake, but at least be on the same page. Communication and identification, identifying who the Mike linebacker is, who the safeties are, who the blitzers are. It's going to be so important for Brady. As we saw just there, it's almost impossible to communicate in this crowd noise.
Remaining 3rd and 8, Edelman, you can see the arms. Where do I go? Gronkowski wide, bottom of this screen against Gilmore.
That's the matchup they want. They want Gilmore on Gronk.
The blitz is on, and Brady goes down the sideline. Ridge is incomplete. Darby was watching Edelman. It's 3 and out on New England's first possession. The Patriots will punt.
And I'm not surprised to see Brady go after the young corner, Ronald Darby, but he's a guy that can run, and Rex Ryan told us on Friday, Kevin, he's going to be a good one. They've got some really good corners here in Buffalo.
Left-footed punter Ryan Allen will punt. Deep back for the Buffalo Bills, Marcus Thigpen. Winged is back, hang time of 4-3, Thigpen. Oh, he's got room to roam, and then the punter belts him out of bounds. He takes it to the New England 45-yard line, a 54-yard punt, a 30-yard return. We've got 2 flags down at the 38. Ron Torbert, our first-year referee, is in charge.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the return team, number 58. 10 yards in the spot of the foul. Buffalo's ball, 1st down.
Second-year Randall Johnson is guilty. They're trying to set a sound record today with the Guinness Book of World Records in attendance. Your weekend starts with Kirk Cousins and the Redskins battling rival Eli Manning and the Giants. It's all here on Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. 3 and out for the New England Patriots. Penalty on a 30-yard return against Buffalo, so it pushes it to the 28. Where they got it 1st and 10. McCoy is with Felton. And the handoff from Tyrod Taylor. Not a whole lot there. Played well by Butler and brought down on the play by Sheard. It's a loss of a yard. Back to the 27.
Well, a ton of speed on this offense, Kevin, including the quarterback. We already saw Tyrod Taylor scamper for 23 yards, but you think about Watkins and Harvin at the wide receiver position, McCoy at the running back position, and even Charles Clay, who came over in free agency from Miami. He's a guy that can really attack the seams vertically down the middle of the field.
They just brought in Deron Harmon in the secondary, so 5 back there. Second down 11. Chandler Jones will chase. Reeled in by Mulligan and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Only a gain of 2. The Rams, the Redskins, and let's send it now to New York.
Washington on the ground.
Yeah, 39-yard run here by Matt Jones, a rookie from Florida, gives Washington Redskins a 7-0 lead over the St. Louis Rams.
Let's take it back to Kevin Harlan and Rich Gannon.
Rams were pretty impressive in their Week 1 win against Seattle, Rich.
You've got a great defensive line. Quinn had a couple sacks. Donald had a couple sacks.
It is a 3rd and 9 here. Having a word with Seantrell Henderson, the right tackle. And I wonder if he was observed getting up slowly on the last play. Thus they stop play and they bring him out of the game.
Injury.
I don't know what's going on
see,
there,
I
Kevin.
don't
He looks
either.
fine walking off the field.
He said he got hit in the neck, it looks like right there. So they will bring in Cyrus Kwanjo at the right tackle position.
Well, if there is suspicion of a concussion, the player
Yes.
will be escorted to off the field and maybe even to the locker room where a team physician and UNC will conduct a full assessment.
6 in the secondary, 3rd down and 9. Look at the time for Taylor. Here comes Ninkovich. No place to run, no place to hide. He stepped out of bounds, they say, before he launched back at the 22. There's a sack. They lose 7.
Really nice play by Rob Ninkovich, the veteran. I mean, this is the challenge. We talk about setting the edge, keeping Tyrod Taylor in front of him. Really good discipline, good angle, good adjustment there by Ninkovich to force the sack.
There is Danny Amendola waiting the punt from Colton Schmidt. He averaged 50 yards per punt last week against the Colts. There's a challenge flag thrown out before the punt, but they've not stopped play, and Amendola at the 27. He'll work his way for a handful of yards. He's out near the 36. The red flag, challenge flag, was thrown on before. It looked like before the snap.
Well, now I think
But we'll have to check.
Well, I think the referee's checking with the line judge in terms of whether or not he threw it in time.
We seem to be challenging this right here. The ruling is he stepped on the chalk before he got the ball away.
I think that ball comes out before
I
that
think
right
it might
foot hits
have
the
too.
boundary.
Challenge flag is still on the field at the 32. Listen, I threw it. I promise you.
Well, I so enjoy visiting with Rex Ryan on Fridays after practice, and he's not afraid to tell you how he feels and what he wants to do. It was so close.
So it has been ruled on the field that he was out of bounds when he threw. Ryan would like to challenge, and the officials are discussing. First drive by Buffalo began at their 20, 80-yard drive. The quarterback ran for 23, got a 10-yard pass to Hogan, an 11-yard pass to Watkins, and then a 2-yard touchdown run by running back Carlos Williams.
Buffalo attempted the challenge that the quarterback was out of bounds before he threw the ball. By rule, that play is not reviewable. The flag came down as the ball was snapped. The play completed. The play will count. It'll be New England's ball, first down. Timeout.
49-yard punt, 10-yard Amendola returned. 6:32 in the first.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football. And by Verizon. Watch live primetime games with NFL Mobile, only on Verizon.
Touchdown run by Buffalo. They lead it 6:32 in the first. Here is, watch the red flag go sailing in. Probably simultaneously with the long snap. Nonetheless, they waved it off. Lewis in the backfield for Brady. With the 1st and 10, second position. 3 and out the first time they had the ball. Brady right on the screws, cut by Dodson, knocked out of bounds on the play by Stephon Gilmore. Gain of 16. It is a first down. Mike Carey is joining us from New York. Mike, what's your read on what just happened here?
Kevin, that was very smooth. If the ruling on the field is out of bounds or down by contact with the quarterback throwing the ball, it is not reviewable like it is on down by contact fumble.
1st and 10, deep, and he's got Gronkowski inside the 10. Darby brought him down. 36-yard strike and a first down for New England.
Wow, what a great throw here. They put the linebacker on him initially, then he's going to get covered by the corner coming in late, but a perfect throw, and Kicks gets it done for the Patriots up the seam.
And they got a 1st and goal. Now they wave it off. There's a flag. And we've got a penalty against the offense of the Patriots.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense, number 87, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
On Gronkowski, who just caught the 36-yard pass in stride.
Well, you think about Tom Brady in week 1 down in the red zone and how effective he was. 5 of 6 with 4 touchdown passes, 3 of them going to Gronk, the other one to his other tight end, Scott Chandler. The biggest challenge, I think, for Buffalo, first of all, identifying the personnel groupings and formations and really matching up with the taller tight ends.
1st and goal from the 15. Brady moves up nicely and then hits the deck back at the line of scrimmage. He was shown down by Williams, but in this precious position, didn't want to mess things up. No gain.
It's tough to teach an old dog new tricks. I mean, Tom Brady's not looking to run, but he's looking to buy some time in the pocket. Really nice job there by that Buffalo secondary. Really more of a coverage sack than anything else.
Second and goal.
Brady is so good at recognizing what you're trying to do defensively. You really got to confuse him and do a lot of it after the snap of the football.
Into the nickel. He's got his receiver at the 8-yard line, and that is Edelman, who caught 11 passes against Pittsburgh last week. He picks up 6 right there.
I said it's always a chess match, Kevin, with a quarterback like Brady. Doesn't need a lot of time to find a completion, and it's hard to confuse him because he knows the offense so well. He knows where his quick answer throws are, and he gets the ball out so quick, especially down in this part of the field.
They just took out one of the tight ends, Chandler. They brought in Amendola with Dobson, Edelman, and Gronk at the top of your screen wide. 3rd and goal at the 8. Brady. Touchdown. Julian Edelman. The 8-yard diving reception. And the Patriots get 6.
They actually double Edelman with the linebacker and the safety. Look at him, they're doubling him, and he still finds a way to get open down on the goal line. He is so productive. All he does is get open. Almost 75% of his career catches are within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and that's where he does most of his damage.
Touchdown pass number 397 for Brady. 8-yard touchdown pass to Edelman. Brady now has thrown 5 touchdown passes on the season. 4 against the Steelers opening night Thursday. Gostkowski. And we are tied with 4:02 to play in the first quarter. The big play, 36-yard pass to Gronkowski, sets up the 8-yard touchdown pass. On the drive, Brady 4 of 4. Replay every game of the 2015 season on demand with NFL Game Pass. Go to NFL.com/Game Pass to start your free trial. Tom Brady with a touchdown pass of 8 yards to Julian Edelman. And Josh McDaniels discussing things right there. We had a great talk with McDaniels last night. Here's the ensuing kickoff by Gostkowski. Harvin. Oh, he's going to bring it out from 4 yards deep. Looking for a seam, trying to find some room, and then out of bounds he goes with a return of 27 yards. A flag has been thrown on the return by Percy Harvin.
A lot of big plays and a lot of penalties on special teams last week, Kevin. And the reason why you have so many young players, so many new players learning how to play on teams.
During the return, holding by the return team, number 81. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Buffalo's ball, first down.
Marcus Easley. They had 11 penalties last week in their win over the Colts. Here's that 400 touchdown club on top, of course, Manning with 530.
Isn't it amazing? What a great group of players. All either are in the Hall of Fame or will be in the Hall of Fame at some point. And 397 touchdowns for Brady. And in order to do that, you have to play a long time at a very high level, and you can't miss games. And with the exception of the 2008 season where he had the injury, this guy doesn't miss starts.
We have a 1st and 10. Sammy Watkins, a block from Clay and Mulligan, and there's not a whole lot of room out there. It's a gain of a yard on the play. You can see Hightower thinking that ball may be loose, and Mayo is in there too, but they've ruled him down at the 11.
Well, it's a controlled passing game, a lot of quick throws, and you think about Tyrod Taylor last week, Kevin, only 4 of his 19 passes went further than 10 yards down the field. So they want to get the ball out quick.
He does want to be known as a running quarterback, but a quarterback, Rich, who can run.
Absolutely, and I think that that's an area where he has to develop. We have to see if he's comfortable and can he function from the pocket.
That's in the nickel. Outside it goes. Harvin trying to have him dance red very well outside. Logan Ryan was right there, and a loss of a yard on the play back near the 10.
And this is what the Patriots want, Kevin. They want to be successful in the early downs, and they want to put Tyrod Taylor in these long 3rd down situations. And I think the key, the number is 25. They've got to be north of 25 in terms of throwing the ball. Tyrod Taylor only threw it, as I said last week, just 19 times. They want that number to be up around 30 or 35. Put the game in the hands of the young quarterback and make him beat you.
6 in the secondary, 3rd down and 10. Taylor. Oh, they come up the middle and they bring him down. Is it a safety? They call him down inside the 1. Terrific pressure on the play from guys like Collins and Jones and Ninkovich. Loss of 9, 2nd Patriot sack today.
Well, just keep an eye on Collins. They get confused inside. The left guard, Richie Incognito, steps out. He opens up a huge gap for the linebacker, Jamie Collins. Well, that's really close, whether or not that was certainly inside the 1-yard line. Buffalo very fortunate that wasn't a safety.
There's a bit of a breeze in the face of the punter here. Colton Schmidt is only in his 2nd year in the National Football League. He doesn't have the full 14 yards to punt either. It's a little bit shrunk. And a flag has been thrown, delay of game.
We'll move it back about, 3 inches?
Delay of game. Offense, half the distance to the goal. It's still 4th down.
3rd penalty on the Buffalo Bills, and Rich, all have been on teams so far, on special teams.
Well, we talked about it. You got a lot of young players, guys that were draft picks and that didn't have to play special teams in college.
Schmidt. Amendola.
He's got a lot of room.
On the 45-yard line, here comes Danny Amendola. He got by the long snapper. He's brought down by Boobie Dixon. With a sweet return of 23 yards after a 54-yard punt by Schmidt, and they're going to put the ball at the 27-yard line of the Bills.
Well, the Patriots really got it going on that last drive, and a couple big throws by Tom Brady. Not really running the football, they're throwing it a bunch, and a big throw down the field to Gronkowski. Not bad coverage. It just goes to show you how difficult it is to cover Gronk in the open field. And even though they doubled Julian Edelman down inside the red zone, Patriots still find a way to get it done.
Flags all over the field. Back at the 33, all on the far side of the field. Buffalo took the opening drive 80 yards, 2-yard touchdown run by their rookie running back Carlos Williams out of Florida State. Second possession for the Pats, 8-yard touchdown pass to Edelman, set up by a 36-yard strike to Gronkowski.
There were 2 dead ball fouls, both by the kicking team. Dead ball personal foul number 20, that foul is declined. Dead ball personal foul number 27, that penalty is accepted. 15 yards from the end of the run. New England's ball, first down.
27, Duke Williams. Rich, the mistakes are coming from the Buffalo Bills. Can you get too high, too much adrenaline going? Yeah.
You know, I think you can. I don't think that's really the case here, Kevin. You just don't want to give Brady any help. Tom Brady doesn't need any help. And you give him a situation where they're going to have the ball inside the 15-yard line to start the drive.
One area we were going to watch, Rich, today, the young interior line of the Patriots, the guards in the center, against that rugged defensive line of Buffalo.
Yeah, really a matchup to watch, Kevin. You mentioned it. They're so young inside along that offensive line, and they've got to go up against some really good players. You got 2 Pro Bowlers in Marcel Darius and Kyle Williams, so David Andrews and Shaq Mason are going to have their hands full inside.
1st and 10, Brady. Edelman brought down by Preston Brown, the middle linebacker, to the 7 on a gain of 7 through the air.
And that's a matchup to watch. I think getting Edelman matched up on the linebackers, I mean, I don't care how good of a linebacker you are. It's going to be so difficult to cover Edelman in the field, whether it's Preston Brown or Nigel Bradham.
2nd down, Lewis shifting, cutting, diving, touchdown! 6-yard touchdown run by Dion Lewis.
Well, look at Rob Gronkowski. Just watch the kick out here on Mario Williams. I mean, he's not just a good route runner, but he's a guy that's willing to be an inline player and block in the running game. And of course, Dion Lewis. He has that jump cut that helps him slip a lot of tackles up there inside.
He's been traded, cut twice, missed the last 2 years with a broken leg. Emerged last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers and has already damaged the Bills with that swerving 6-yard touchdown run, with Gostkowski trying to tack on one more. Late in the first, it's 14-7 Patriots. They've gone to the air and hit Edelman for 8. And with a 23-yard punt return by Amendola, it sets up the 6-yard touchdown run by Dion Lewis, 4 years out of Pitt. Flag thrown for some extracurricular pushing on the play. It's back at the 25-yard line.
The extra point is good. After the extra point, unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting by the defense, number 23. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Rich, they had 5 of those last week against the Colts. 5 of them.
Well, they're self-destructing. I mean, you got to have some poise. You see Williams right there pushing at the bottom of the screen on Scotty Chandler, one of his old teammates. You just can't do it.
Well, through less than 1 quarter, 5 special teams penalties on Rex Ryan's different group, and that has hurt them so far. 5 in the first quarter. So that means the kickoff is going to occur on the 50-yard line with that 15-yard penalty. Buffalo got such a great start with the opening kickoff and marching downfield 80 yards. 2 consecutive scores here for the Patriots in their 3 possessions today as Matt Patricia, who you see there in the red jacket, Tom Brady in the background with Josh McDaniels. Those are the 2 coordinators who have spent time on the other side of the ball. Belichick likes to cross-train his guys, doesn't he, his coaches?
Yeah, it really does. I think all of them have either spent time in the scouting department or on offense or defense before they settled in as coordinators. And it's kind of a farm system, Kevin. You think about working for Coach Belichick. I mean, he's had so many great coaches that have come into that organization. We always say he's looking for PhDs, guys who are poor, hungry, and driven, and are willing to do the work. He's got a bunch of them on that staff.
There's Patricia right there. Here are the guys. That's Josh McDaniels, of course, former head coach and now back with the Patriots leading the offense.
Yeah, he actually started in personnel, and he said that, be a good coach, you have to sometimes be a good scout. You look at Matt Patricia. He actually worked with Dante Scarnecchia his first year with helping out with the offensive line. And I just think that, it's a great way to learn how to coach the entire football team. Some of these assistant coaches are just worried about coaching their area.
Good story, McCoy on 1st and 10 from Taylor. Boy, he is plugged up right there with a gain of a little more than a yard. All kinds of guys coming through. By the way, no Dominique Easley today. He is injured with a hip that he hurt against Pittsburgh. Gain of a yard, 2nd down 9.
Well, they got off to a great start, 10 plays, 80 yards, but those 2 3-and-outs, Kevin, we always talk about it. They're demoralizing to a football team. And I always thought of myself as a quarterback playing against a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. Every drive is absolutely critical because when you give it back to him, you have to assume that he's going to come away with points every time he touches the football.
Great tackle made by Jamie Collins, stopping McCoy in his tracks right at the 20-yard line. No gain on the play.
Buffalo is not doing a good enough job with Jamie Collins. He's running through that A-gap between the center and guard. We saw him on the sack, and now he gets the run through on the run stop.
Tom Brady has thrown a touchdown pass. They've gotten a 6-yard touchdown run, and they lead by 7 at the end of 1. Welcome back to Orchard Park with a look at the first quarter numbers. Time of possession stands out, 7 points, the result for Buffalo. But they've had 5 penalties, Rich, on special teams.
Yeah, and they're struggling a little bit right now on 1st and 2nd down. They find themselves in some big numbers on 3rd down, a 3rd and 10 in the first drive, 3rd and 9, and now another 3rd and 9 in this series.
5 in the secondary. Here comes Taylor. And it's picked off by Butler. Jumps up, gets up, brought down by Harvin. It's the game's first turnover. And Malcolm Butler, the hero of Super Bowl 49, puts a smile on the face of his defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia.
Well, you're going to see the quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. He's looking to his left. He comes back to his right a little bit late. And this one just sails on him. And what a great interception by Malcolm Butler. When I first saw it, Kevin, I thought maybe it hit the ground, but a great job, great concentration by the second-year corner.
Terrell Rivas is gone. Brendan Browner is gone. Arrington is gone. They've had to revamp the secondary. Butler comes up with a big kick right there. From the 30-yard line, 2nd consecutive New England beginning field position in Buffalo territory.
Balls get tipped or deflected. It's never a good thing for quarterbacks. They almost always wind up in the hands of the defense.
Trey Jackson now in at the right guard. Brady 1st and 10. Dion Lewis, Gronkowski may lay a block. And finally knocked out of bounds by Preston Brown, the linebacker, at the 14-yard line of Buffalo on a catch and run of 16.
And Brady is going to jump the ball. And again, it makes it so difficult, this tempo, for Rex Ryan to dial up all those pressures and also to make substitutions in this part of the field. Don't give you a chance to catch your breath.
Into the nickel, Brady, 1st and 10. Dobson, grabbed by Gilmore, lunges ahead down to the 7-yard line, and he'll pick up 7 right there.
Well, Brady does such a great job distributing the ball. He doesn't discriminate. He'll throw it to anybody who's open. And the ball comes out so quick.
With a 2nd down and 3, Lewis broke the tackle of Darius.
He's slippery.
He is. Gets down near the 2-yard line with a gain of 5.
He is so elusive. You look at Brady. Last 10 pass attempts. We talked about it in week 1. Kevin, 19 straight against the Steelers.
He's hit his last 7.
He can get on a roll. That's the challenge, I think, for Buffalo, to try and disrupt the timing and the rhythm of Tom Brady.
1st and goal. Brady, Edelman off his fingertips. With the coverage on the play by Stephon Gilmore.
Well, Stephon Gilmore is their best corner. The Bills do a nice job. See how the 2 corners pass it off? Gilmore stays outside, and he takes the shoot route. They've spent a lot of extra time. You and I were out of practice on Friday, Kevin. That Friday practice, went on forever. They spent a lot of extra time working on their red zone defense.
3 tight ends. Manawanui goes wide, as does Gronkowski and as does Chandler.
We saw the very same formation in week 1 against Pittsburgh.
Blunt is in, 2nd and goal, an easy touchdown pass to Gronkowski. A 2-yarder. Brady's 2nd touchdown pass of the day. And they cash in on the interception thrown by Taylor.
We talk about plays that look the same, that are different. We saw this very same sequence in week 1 against Pittsburgh, and he did 2 things. He ran the slant and he ran the fade. Now he runs the little in route in the back of the end zone. And that's the beauty of Josh McDaniels' system. Plays that look the same, Kevin, for a defense, but yet are very different.
Gronkowski has caught 4 red zone passes this season, all 4 for touchdowns. Gronkowski, 21-7 New England. They first of all got the ball at the Buffalo 30. Catch and run 16 yards, Lewis. Gronkowski in the back from Amherst, New York. Slams it home. Tom Brady with a couple of touchdown passes here in the first half. Week 2 continues later today on Fox. Then tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC. And then tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN. Patriot owner Robert Kraft in attendance. He was in Boston last night receiving an award for his terrific work with charities, humanitarian efforts in the Boston and Providence area. Kim Pagula, one of the owners, on the right-hand side right there. Co-owner for the Buffalo Bills. New ownership, new feel, and they hope a new direction. Came in with hopes high today, but Patriots have scored in their last 3 consecutive possessions. Harvin won't have a chance to return this. Good kickoff by Gostkowski. What now for Taylor? Rich, you're down at home early in the game, and you just threw a pick.
Well, this is a critical possession. The Bills have been held without a first down in their last 3 drives. They've had 2 3-and-outs, and Kevin, they're in danger of really letting this one get away from them. They don't want to fall behind by 3 scores and have to ask Tyrod Taylor to throw it a bunch. They have to be able to stick with the game plan and be able to mix it up, be able to have some success running the football and really slow this game down a little bit. Put together a big 8, 9, 10 play drive and keep Brady on the sidelines.
Here's a 1st and 10 from the pistol. McCoy back there with Taylor, who's making his reads. Pocket was crumbling. There goes LaShawn McCoy, who's grabbed by Sheard from behind. A nice offseason pickup Sheard was from Cleveland. Gain of 8 on 1st down for the Bills.
Well, the Patriots are playing so much 8-man front football. They're bringing the safeties down. They're really crowding the line of scrimmage and discouraging the Buffalo Bills from running the football. And Buffalo's going to have to throw the ball, push the ball down the field on 1st down. Take advantage of the speed that you have outside.
Patriots sticking with 4 in the secondary. 2nd down, short 2. With McCoy finding nothing. Tried to carve some room there. Sheard was there. Also, Jamie Collins. Boy, as Collins had a terrific first half. Loss of a yard in the play. It's back to the 27.
And the big concern with LaShawn McCoy, Kevin, he just hasn't had the work, and the conditioning isn't where it needs to be. And so they have to clearly monitor his workload. But we saw him at practice on Friday. I thought he looked pretty good.
Not bad, and he wants to get on the same page with the offensive line too, Rich, because they've had such little work together, as you said, during the preseason.
And that affects everything you do.
3rd and 2. Now they're bringing pressure. Taylor will dance in from behind. It's Chandler Jones bringing him down. That's the 3rd sack for the New England defense. They throw him back to the 20. It's a loss of 8. 4th down.
Boy, they just smother him. You're going to see Chandler Jones. He's going to come off the side, but pressure up inside. And again, they're trying to get one-on-ones with the offensive line. They make the back. McCoy come up and block, and Tyrod Taylor, he's looking for a lane, but Chandler Jones gets him from behind.
Schmidt will punt. And deep back, they've got Edelman. Ooh, there was pressure. He was run into, and there's a flag. He was run into by Rufus Johnson, who is a first-year player from Tarleton State. It was 4th and 10 when they punted. If they run into him, it's only a 5-yard penalty. They had 4th and 10. And
yeah, that's just going to be. It can't be roughing.
you wouldn't think. Both teams coming in 1-0. Bill Belichick and the Patriots have the best record in the month of September, going back to 2005, boasting their 6th consecutive AFC East Division titles.
They got a pretty good record in October, November, December, too, don't they?
And February.
And January.
Yeah, he does.
Running into the kicker by the defense. Number 95, 5-yard penalty. Replay 4th down.
It was 59, and it was Rufus Johnson.
Yep. Can't touch those guys. They're worse than quarterbacks, Kevin. Kickers and punters.
Patriots had, Rich, 4 special teams penalties against the Steelers on opening Thursday.
And we talked with Coach Belichick about those concerns. They used some of the extra days that they had to prepare this week for Buffalo, really concentrating on special teams.
Schmidt from Cal Davis to punt again. This time Amendola is back there by himself. He steers it, goes Schmidt to the sideline. And some shoving after the play. Edelman's caught a touchdown pass. Lewis has run one in, and Gronkowski with another touchdown reception.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Hyundai, an official sponsor of the NFL. State Farm. Find your agent at statefarm.com. And by Just for Men Mustache and Beard, your best beard ever.
The Patriots began 3 and out. They've scored 3 consecutive times. A couple touchdown passes by Brady. After the punt by Buffalo, 1st and 10 from the 42. Last 2 possessions have started in Buffalo territory. Brady on 1st and 10, lofting it down. He's got Gronkowski, and then broken up beautifully by Jerry Hughes. Incomplete, 2nd and 10.
Well, that's the matchup they want. Gronkowski on Jerry Hughes. A better throw here by Tom Brady. Maybe gets it done. Gronk's got to slow down a little bit. Still should catch it. It's in his hands. Hughes does a nice job ripping it out. But the Patriots are doing a great job, Kevin, in their empty backfield alignments. They're getting 5 receivers out. They're getting one-on-one matchups. And Brady's doing a good job identifying the front and getting the ball out quickly.
Into the nickel, 2nd and 10, Edelman. He's run over there by Corey Graham, who left the Colts game last week with a head injury. Close to a 1st down with Edelman, the number 1 receiver for this New England Patriot team, finding his way to the 48-yard line of Buffalo.
I think there are different approaches and philosophies versus Rex Ryan. Some offenses are so protection conscious, they want to keep 7 or 8 in the block. The Patriots, on the other hand, they want to get the receivers and the tight ends and the backs out in the route and trust Brady to recognize the blitz and get the ball out quick. This puts a lot of stress on the back end of the Buffalo Bills.
81st and 10, Lewis. And he's belted, and the ball is free, and it's vacuumed in, and this is the veteran Corey Graham. Going the other way, Lewis fumbled, you may recall. There's a flag thrown at the 28. Lewis had fumbled against the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's another fumble. Lewis in the opener had fumbled against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which Gronkowski recovered just outside the goal line, inside the 1. And here's a Lewis fumble here.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 23, 15 yards from the end of the play. Buffalo keeps the ball, 1st down.
Aaron Williams.
Again.
Yeah.
And Brady gets it out. Brady doesn't even get the grip This ball clearly comes out. As you mentioned, Kevin, a fumble in week 1 against Pittsburgh. They had 4 fumbles all of last season, and Bill Belichick, he doesn't put up with running backs or receivers who fumble. There's an old expression in this business, you get what you emphasize, and the Patriots emphasize ball security. And we've seen in the past where running backs have put the ball on the ground, and you don't see them the rest of the day.
Try to settle him down, and ball pushed back down to the 48-yard line of New England. Patriots done anything differently defensively because the first drive by Buffalo was beautiful. 80 yards and a touchdown run, but the last 4 have really been tough.
Keep an eye on the safety, Kevin. So much 8-man front, discouraging the Buffalo Bills from running the football. They're going to have to start throwing it more on first down.
Which Taylor will do here with the deep drop on 1st and 10. Inside he finds Williams. Wrestled down on the play by Jonathan Freeney out of Rutgers with a gain of 4 to the 43-yard line of Buffalo.
Well, they have to somehow find a way to get the ball outside the numbers a little bit. They've got great speed there. We talked about it with Percy Harvin and, of course, Sammy Watkins. Watkins been pretty quiet, Kevin, not just today, but even last week against the Colts. You need to start getting him the ball.
Here's Taylor, who said he grew up watching Tom Brady. 2nd down and 6. With the run, there's a tackle by Chandler Jones on a gain of 3, and Carlos Williams takes it down to the 41 of New England.
It was interesting talking to Tyrod Taylor on Friday. He said that liked Warren Moon as a kid. And of course, the 2 quarterbacks that he really has watched and studied very closely since becoming a pro are Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. The fact that they're so accurate and they get the ball out so quick.
3rd down and 3. Hogan in motion. Looks at 6 in the secondary. Flag is thrown, incomplete. The coverage by Hightower. They were going for McCoy with the flag thrown at the 48-yard line.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Offense, number 76. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is 4th down.
Rookie starting guard John Miller. And they get great field position, and they can do nothing with it, Rich.
Well, wasted opportunity there. You see the disappointment from Rex Ryan. Penalties killing Buffalo right now.
5th consecutive drive. Buffalo has been held without a first down. Another punting situation for Colton Schmidt. A little English on this one. Amendola. Fair caught at the 12, which will take us to a break and 9:05 to play in the first half. Brady a couple touchdown passes, 21-7. This past Tuesday, the Buffalo Bills Rookie Club joined USA Football to host the first ever heads-up football clinic at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Kids were instructed in proper heads-up tackling and blocking techniques designed to make the game of football better and safer for all participants. There's a young, promising player, 2nd-round pick, Ronald Darby, out of Florida State, starts and plays and watches Brady now. Lewis is in with a 1st and 10 after the punt by the Bills. Michael Williams. He was brought down from behind by Corey Graham along with a couple. Williams is out at Alabama. Got him in a trade with Detroit. 15-yard catch and run. Quickly a 1st down.
You look at Tom Brady and the matchup with Rex Ryan over the years, and certainly gotten the better of it.
1st and 10. Brady goes deep here. He's got Edelman, but it was knocked away. The coverage by Bakari Rambo. Incomplete. 2nd and 10.
We were just talking about his career numbers versus Rex Ryan coach defenses. I mean, look at that, Kevin. 10-4 even today. 13 of 17, 135 yards, a couple touchdowns. And he knows what to expect. He told us that last night. It won't be easy. There's going to be some plays where we look silly, but there's also some great opportunities to throw the ball down the field.
Edelman on 2nd down and 10. Running to the far side, takes it up to the 39. That's a 12-yard gain by Julian Edelman. Patriots really, Rich, trust their system, don't they? Even in hostile environments like this.
You have to, and I think that's what you rely on. And the fact, Kevin, that you've got a quarterback that's been in the same system for 16 years. They've changed coordinators, they've changed players, but they have not changed the system. And this guy knows it so well.
1st and 10. Cannon with the block at the right tackle. That undershot to Gronkowski. The coverage by Corey Graham. Incomplete to New York. Here's James and Coach.
Steelers in a groove.
3 consecutive possessions, 3 consecutive touchdowns. This last one a 35-yarder to Darius Hayward Bay. Pittsburgh up 22-3 over San Francisco.
Missed the PAT. Back to Kevin and Rich.
Thank you, guys. There's Deion Lewis trying to screw him away from Mario Williams. He picks up 3, and he puts his head out to about the 41-yard line. You were a little surprised to see Lewis back in there after he just fumbled on the previous possession.
Yeah, usually when that happens, coach tells you to go stick your head in the bushes for a while. He doesn't tolerate it.
No one likes that. 3rd and 7. Brady, Edelman, shy with the coverage by Rambo, the former Redskin. Gain of 6 on 3rd and 7. It's 4th and 1.
You're always surprised they come up a yard short. I'm surprised that Julian Edelman didn't push this up another yard. Of course, the Patriots jumping the ball here on 4th and 1, forcing Rex Ryan to make a decision.
As we said, Cannon now at that right tackle. Part of the rotation that Belichick uses with the offensive line. 4th and 1.
You always have to be alert for no snap, no play in this situation.
Fake to Amendola. Here comes Mario Williams. Backpedaling is Brady, up for grabs and incomplete. They turn it over in downs. There was good coverage by the aforementioned rookie Ronald Darby. They threw it up on the jump ball. Buffalo will have good possession of the ball when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. Solutions that matter. And by Under Armour. Rule yourself. I will.
Gorgeous building, that City Hall here in Buffalo. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowles. Scores, news, and highlights. Plus a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. It's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. With NFL MVP Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan, our terrific CBS crew. Another possession for the Bills in New England territory. From the 48 for a second consecutive time. 1st and 10 underneath McCoy. Always slippery. Flag is down. Block downfield was thrown by the tight end, Clay. A 22-yard catch and run. Down to the 26. Let's see what that flag is all about.
It's going to come back. I think it's on Buffalo.
Bills don't have a first down since their opening drive when they went 80 yards and got a 2-yard touchdown run since that.
Illegal formation by the offense. The tight end was not lined up on the line of scrimmage. That's a 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Wipes out Rich a 22-yard gain.
Well, I think they're saying the tight end wasn't lined up on the line of scrimmage right there, Kevin. And it's little things like that. Matthew Mulligan got an illegal formation, and it wipes out the big catch and run from LaShawn McCoy.
First and 15. Pass with 4 defensive backs, studied by Taylor. Pocket fumbles, incomplete, and maybe bobbled and reeled in by Watkins after Carlos Williams couldn't hold on. Gain of 4. And down to about the 48-yard line, their original line of scrimmage.
Tyrod Taylor, Kevin, has to learn to take a little off some of these throws. This ball's coming out so hot, and it's hard for the back to catch it. And the other thing is he's got to see it leave the hand of the quarterback. I think he does catch that ball, Sammy Watkins. Great adjustment on the fly. You got to take a little bit off when you throw those backs, and it's important for the back to see the ball leave your hand.
Patriots in the nickel. 2nd down 2, going deep, and he's got his receiver, Harvin. There's a late flag thrown. The coverage by Bradley Fletcher. as they were jousting down the sideline.
We talked about how important it was going to be for Buffalo.
Interference, defense with an arm bar. Automatic first down if it's shot off foul.
We talked about how important it would be for Buffalo to be able to throw the ball down the field. You see Bradley Fletcher there with the arm bar grabbing on the right shoulder of Percy Harvin. There's a reason why, Kevin, that Bradley Fletcher is no longer playing for Chip Kelly in Philadelphia. He really struggled. Honestly, he really struggled with the deep ball.
We've had a lot of coaches tell us that this is the way a lot of teams are going to attack the Patriots because they're a little bit depleted in the secondary, or new in the secondary.
You got 3 new corners. You lose Revis, Browner, and Arrington from a season ago.
First and goal, McCoy is there. Felton off for a block. Here's Taylor, chased by Ninkovich. Caught, touchdown, Charles Clay. And the Bills are back in business.
Boy, great patience by Tyrod Taylor. You're going to see Clay. Initially, he's blocking, and then he turns around and realizes that Tyrod Taylor is scrambling, and he makes the adjustment. But really nice job by Taylor, just having some patience and keeping his eyes down the field off the scramble.
Pretty big penalty on Bradley Fletcher, a 39-yard penalty in essence. 2 plays, 48 yards. Extra point is away, and it is no good. Carpenter missing. So it stays 21-13 with 5:13 to play in the first half. Another flag at the 28.
Well, we saw some extra points missed in week 1,
After
Kevin.
the extra point, unsportsmanlike conduct taunting by the defense. Number 21. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed
On the Patriots. There's the touchdown pass by Tyrod Taylor, who threw a touchdown pass last week of 51 yards to Harvin. That time he hits the tight end Clay, but Carpenter is wide, the ex-Dolphin wide right. 5:13 second quarter, 2-play, 48-yard drive. Big penalty on the secondary of New England gives the great position a goal-to-go situation for the offense of Rex Ryan. Now another missed extra point. Rich, what do you think of this new rule this year back to the 23-yard line?
Well, I know the kickers don't like it, Kevin, but really, you think about it, kickers have made 99.3% of their kicks a season ago and at least 98% of their extra points every season since 1994. So certainly the competition committee trying to revisited this and decided that it was getting to be too easy for these kickers.
The kickoff by Jordan Gay was at the 15 because of the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty charged against the New England Patriots. So he kicked off from the 50. It sails over the head of Lewis. That's the 20-yard line. First and 10.
Yeah, 71 of the 75 extra points through week 1, so 94.7%. But you know what's really going to be interesting is when we get into November and December, even here in Buffalo, where the weather starts to become even more of a factor.
Mason, the left guard. Andrews, the rookie center. So 2 rookies there. Ballmer's back in at the right tackle. Klein at the right guard. First and 10. Brady, flag thrown. And they go outside. Travaris Cadet battling a hamstring. Gain of 2. Hit across the way by Gilmore. And as I told you, a flag was thrown. We've had a lot of them.
Illegal shift by the offense. Number 87 was going into a stance, and number 11 went in motion. It's a 5-yard penalty. Correction. Buffalo decided to decline.
Tom Brady today. Gronkowski for 36 right there.
Yeah, he looks really sharp, Kevin. 14 of 20, 138 yards, a couple touchdowns. And he's made some really nice throws out of rhythm outside the pocket.
Second down, 9. Brady deep, Gronkowski, oh, what a catch, but he was on the chalk, no good. Graham was there. One official said no, one official said yes, they waved it off. Incomplete. What a catch nonetheless, my goodness.
Now look at his ability to go up and get the football. That right foot clearly out of bounds, but Brady's going to go back and look at this one. He passes up an easy completion to Julian Edelman to try and throw the ball downfield to Gronk versus double coverage.
3rd and 9. Here they come. Down he goes. Darius. Second sack by the Buffalo defense today. Flag at the 32. Flag again. It's on the Bills.
They did such a great job last week with the pressure packages.
Holding. Defense, number 28, 5 yards.
The rookie.
In the previous stop. And an automatic first down.
Darby. And an automatic first.
They see they get it done with a 4-man rush, and he did such a great job last week against Andrew Luck and the Colts, bringing pressure but being really tied down on the back end. And they've not done a good enough job today on the back end. Giving up too many throws and completions to Brady already in the first half.
1st and 10. Bolden is in. Make it blunt. Flag. Slowed up by Mario Williams and picked and poked his way for game back to the line of scrimmage, and that was it. Yep, you see a hold.
Holding. Offense. Number 67. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
Cannon is back in at the right tackle.
Yeah, Josh Klein. This is turning into a sloppy game, really, for both teams, Kevin. We've got some penalties in the kicking game. We've got some personal fouls. We've got some holding penalties.
Josh McDaniels told us yesterday communication was the first thing we talked about this week. Don't fall asleep on your team. 1st and 20.
I had a rough night. I don't think he's going to make it to halftime.
Lewis is in. 1st and 20. Dropped by Edelman. Coverage by Gilmore. 2nd and 10.
You look at Tom Brady. I really got a kick out of our visit with him last night when he said, at this point in my career, I have very little patience for mistakes because I can't tolerate them. And, the receiver runs a route that's shorter. He misses the throw. Drives him crazy. He expects perfection from himself and everyone around him. It's a big reason why he's one of the best to ever play the position.
2nd down, 20. Brady looking for Lewis. He's got the ball. He had the matchup against Bradham, and he gives a much-needed breathing space downfield to the Buffalo Bill 39 on a catch and run of 34.
We talk about putting air on the football and giving the receiver a chance to make a play. Really nice touch here by Tom Brady, putting a little air on it so Dion Lewis can run underneath it. As you mentioned, Kevin, this is a mistake. It's a matchup problem for the Bills.
Put him at the 43 and a quick 1st and 10. It's Lewis who twists and turns his way into the grasp of Graham and picks up 13. So they say he hit the chalk at the 43. Nonetheless, it's a 13-yard catch and run right there by this kid. Dion Lewis, like we said, missed the last 2 years with a broken leg injury. He's bounced around. He lands as a Patriot, and he has been terrific first 2 weeks. Now Bolden is in. Brandon McCall. Yeah, the block by Solder, and then squeeze inside by Brown. Not much there. Gain of a yard as he takes it down to the 30-yard line of Buffalo.
And Kevin, we were talking to Brady last night. He said that, so much of their offense, it's really one word. They have these little words and phrases. It tells you everything. Formation, protection, route adjustments. He said it's not an easy system to learn for young players.
2nd and 9, the twisting Bolden hit by Preston Brown. He makes all the defensive calls. He led him in tackles a year ago. He allows just a gain of 2 down to the 28.
A really nice play here by the linebacker. Talk about a form tackle. Eyes up, see what you hit.
3rd and 7. Brady Gronkowski thrown behind him, and then he was found in a sandwich. Aaron Williams on one side. Roby in the vicinity. It's incomplete as they crush him on a cross.
Well, we've seen Brady miss a couple throws here, and this is a tough one for Gronk. It's behind him. He's got to try and make a one-handed grab, and then he gets sandwiched, as you said, Kevin, between two safeties.
We're going to try a field goal here with Stephen Gostkowski, a 46-yarder. He's led the NFL in scoring 3 consecutive years. What a year he had last year. From 46 into a slight breeze, drills it. 46-yard field goal. The big play, 2 of them by Dion Lewis. A 34-yard catch and run, a 13-yard catch and run. Then Gostkowski right down the middle. Tomorrow on CBS, the geniuses from last season's hit drama are back. Don't miss the season premiere of Scorpion. Tomorrow at 9, 8 Central, only CBS with Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan. Beautiful day in Western New York. A 21-7 lead at one time by the Patriots. It's now 24-13 with that field goal moments ago of 46 yards by Gostkowski. Irvin is deep back. 2 timeouts New England, 3 for Buffalo, and this one will sail over his head. So back to the 20. It'll be a touchback. Tyrod Taylor in the offense will get it first down and 10 yards to go. Early fantasy leaders.
How about Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers? You give him a couple extra days to prepare. And Kevin, you and I saw Jamal Charles in person last week, and in Houston, of course. Unfortunate for him to be able to put the ball on the ground into that game. That's one that will stick with you forever.
Odell Beckham Jr. with a big start. Tyrod Taylor, who played his college football at Virginia Tech, with a handoff on 1st and 10. The elusive McCoy dances his way to the 31 with a 12-yard gain on first. McCoy with 42 yards, bad hamstring and all, running against Belichick's defense. We are at the 2-minute warning. The new Buffalo offensive coordinator used to call the plays in San Francisco.
And he's a good one, Kevin, and he's smart. I thought he did a terrific job last week structuring a game plan around what Tyrod Taylor was comfortable with and what he does well.
1st and 10 for Taylor. He's got Sammy Watkins. He will take it out to the 41. Going for 9 across the middle. After the 12-yard run by McCoy just before. I
think as you look at your call sheet as a play caller, you've got to look at plays specifically designed to get the ball to Sammy Watkins. He's kind of your home run hitter, Kevin. He's been quiet here first 6 quarters of the regular season.
2nd down and 1. It's Harvin who slips on the turf and is brought down by Terrell Brown. He's got the first down, though. He picks up 2. And with 3 timeouts, Buffalo has the ball at their own 43.
I think Harvin has gotten better as a receiver. I know that he's struggled at times in Minnesota and in Seattle with the Jets. And you know he can do a handful of things well in terms of the go routes, the slant routes. But I think he's really worked hard at his craft to try and become a complete receiver.
1st and 10. It's LaShawn McCoy, who is hit by Chung, among others, with a gain of 2 to the 46-yard line. Again, Buffalo with all 3 timeouts. How would you use them here, Rich, those timeouts?
Well, I wouldn't start burning them just yet. I don't want to give the ball back to Brady and the Patriots, but they've got to convert a 3rd down, Kevin, and this drive alive. And at that point, maybe you burn one.
Taylor 2nd and 8, being chased by Rufus Johnson and doused at about midfield as he's brought down on the play by Logan Ryan. Timeout taken by Buffalo. Coming up in the Verizon halftime report, JB, Tony Park, Boomer, and Coach Collins. Scores, news, highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report. And Rich, as we pull back a little bit, aside from that guy's hair. What has interested you in this first half?
Well, it's amazing. I mean, Buffalo's able to even come away with a field goal in this situation, Kevin. It's still just a one-score, an 8-point game. And so they're still in this football game. And, it hasn't always been pretty offensively, but, they just need a big play or two to get them back in it. It's got to come from Tyrod Taylor, I think, in the passing game.
In the nickel, 3rd and 4. Henderson pulls, blocks Ninkovich, and that is Harvin, who runs for a first down to the Patriot 43. Buffalo a timeout. A 6-yard run by Percy Harvin. Our first half clock at 44 seconds. 1st and 10. Taylor pressured and brought down, and that time Chandler Jones, who had a great playoff run last year. It's a 4th sack for the Patriot defense. They push him back to the 49-yard line of Buffalo.
Well, he's working over Cordy Glenn right now, the left tackle of the Buffalo Bills. Just beats him inside with a little spin move.
Bills with a single timeout, 2nd and 18. They go underneath. Charles Clay bounced out of bounds that time by Terrell Brown. 4-yard pickup.
Well, he's going to start him upfield, then he comes right back underneath. Cordy Glenn struggled a little bit with the speed of Chandler Jones, just slips him. Tyrod Taylor has nowhere to go. No problem right now with Chandler Jones.
6 sacks last year. He had 11, remember, his second year. Back in 2013, 3rd and 14. Carlos Williams, the rookie running back, offers a block. Tyrod Taylor going deep. He had Watkins. This will be picked off. And Harmon has got his 2nd of the season. Belted down on the play by Henderson. A return of 21 yards. Duron Harmon, he picked off Roethlisberger. He's just picked off Taylor. And that will seal things in the first half for the New England Patriots. With the interception thrown by Tyrod Taylor.
Well, getting run it, and you're going to see Tyrod Taylor, Kevin, he gets outside the pocket. And once he starts to scramble, go ahead and keep rolling it. He's still not outside that pocket yet. Now right here, stop it. He throws the ball late down the middle, and he overthrows his intended target. We talk about late throws down the middle, never a good thing for a young quarterback.
Brady will kneel on the ball with 5 seconds to play in the second quarter. With the flag.
Too many men. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You saw Cadet, I think it was him, run off the field. So Tom Brady has thrown touchdown passes of 8 yards to Edelman. Gronkowski 2. Lewis had a 6-yard touchdown run. Gronkowski kicked a 46-yard field goal. Tom to a knee. Rex Ryan on a big day, the highly anticipated matchup with the Bills and the Patriots at the half. Bills got on the board early on a 2-yard touchdown run. Then 3 consecutive scores by the reigning champions. We're at the half in Buffalo, where it's 24-13 New England on CBS.
Don't stop, baby, keep on moving.
It's the Patriots at halftime in Orchard Park. Now let's take a look at the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Tom Brady with a couple of first-half touchdown passes, one to Gronkowski.
Yeah, he's looked sharp, Kevin, and I think them just jumping the ball, and the other idea that they've done a nice job of spreading out this defense and then getting 5 receivers out in the route, and Brady dialing, getting the ball out quick, made it very difficult for Rex to keep down up those blitzes.
A lot of penalties so far on the Buffalo Bills. They've had 2 turnovers and 4 sacks allowed, 2 of 8 on third down. Adjustments they need to make to get back in this game in the second half.
Well, I think a couple of things when you look at what Buffalo's got to do. First and foremost, they've got to be able to continue to run the football. They can't abandon the game plan, and I think defensively they have to be able to disrupt Brady's rhythm. I think for the Patriots, offensively, we talked about continuing the up-tempo approach and jumping the ball and taking the fight to the Bills' defense. And then finally, I think defensively, for the Patriots, continue to pressure the quarterback and keep everything in front of you. Don't allow any explosive plays to Harvin or to Watkins in the second half.
You may recall that the Patriots won the flip of the coin. They deferred, so they'll get it. Bill Belichick, who has put together 14 consecutive winning seasons as the head coach of New England, has sent Dion Lewis back. It's not necessarily a situation where the Patriots continue to get top-flight talent. They just seem to stick solid players that fit what Belichick wants to do, whether it's the Dion Lewises of the world or whoever.
Players that come in and fill a role, and certainly Dion Lewis has done that the first week and a half.
2-1-0 teams winning on opening weekend, on kickoff weekend. They leave it there through 30 minutes of football. Rich, these are some of the numbers here in Orchard Park.
Well, Buffalo's got plenty to get cleaned up, Kevin. And we talked about the turnovers, the penalties. They've been sloppy there. And, offensively, I mean, it just they can't abandon the running game. They've got to be able to continue to run the football. They're not built to throw it here 20, 25 times in the second half.
Late first half injury. Sebastian Vollmer hurt his finger. He is out. Cannon, as we've mentioned a couple times, is in at the right tackle. It's Brady with the 1st and 10. Here comes Williams. Kyle Williams pressuring. Quick throw. Lewis incomplete with the coverage in the linebacking core by Bradham.
Well, Kyle Williams got on Brady really quickly there. And you think about Buffalo defensively, Ken, we talked about what they've got to do. You got to disrupt Brady. You got to get him off the spot. I mean, he's in a rhythm right now, and Buffalo hasn't done anything to deter that.
Bills have been in the nickel most of the afternoon. 2nd down and 10. Dion Lewis, flag is thrown, grabbed from behind, got near the 22. Hit by Nikel Roby, and it's a gain of 2.
Holding, offense, number 60, 10-yard penalty, replay 2nd down.
The rookie center, David Andrews, taking the place of the concussed Brian Stork.
This is a tough block. You're going to see him right in the middle of your screen. He's got to make this cut block and try and get on the other side at the jump block on Kyle Williams, and he just... Tough block for any player, particularly against a Pro Bowl defensive tackle like Kyle Williams.
Stork is on that short-term IR. 2nd down 20. Kyle Williams, a terrific player. With a 2nd and 20. Edelman, he got a block on the play from Solder, and he bangs off bodies like a ping-pong ball and takes the ball on a catch and run to the 29, 19-yard pickup by Julian Edelman.
Kevin, we always use that term. You have to have your head on a swivel and keep an eye on Stephon Gilmore. Whoop. There's Nate Solder.
It's 3rd and 1. A lot of people on that front line for the Bills. Flag, 2 of them.
Offense, number 60, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Andrews right there. Rich, when you were on the road, hand signals, is that what you're basically using right now to communicate in this kind of noise?
Yeah, some code words, some hand signals. It's so hard, and this is kind of the world that they live in. They're used to it. It's just, you got a young center in there, Kevin. He's having a very difficult time, and in front of him, he's got to deal with Marcel Darius and Kyle Williams.
16 penalties, 8 each way. It's 3rd down and 6. Cannon, a good block at the right side. They've got Gronkowski as he takes it past midfield. Takes it to the 49 of Buffalo. 27-yard catch and run. 1st down, Patriots.
Well, this is just a mismatch on the linebacker, Nigel Bradham. I mean, I don't know what Rex Ryan's thinking. How can you expect a linebacker to cover that guy down the seam?
1st and 10. Brady will loop one down the sideline. It is incomplete. They're going for Gronk once again. The coverage by the rookie Darby. You said nationally this week, you don't think there's anybody that can, as Darby is catching his breath, you don't think, Rich, there's anybody that can guard Gronkowski?
Well, he's tough. I mean, it's a guy that's so big, Kevin. I mean, he's a bigger wide receiver, and I think where he is the best is working in the middle of the field. It's also the quickest way to the end zone. It's right down the middle of the field. It's also directly in the vision of the quarterback. But his size, he covers so much ground in a short period. And his catching radius, his ability to make that back shoulder catch or that down the field catch. And I think for Buffalo, the challenge is, where is he? He's never in the same spot twice. He's an inline player. He's on the right side. He's on the left side. He's in the slot. He's outside. They move him around so much, it makes it very difficult to get the matchup that you want on him.
They like Ronald Darby. You can see he's getting up under his own power, but you're tangling with a big 6'6" body like Gronkowski. You're going to feel it. Let's see here.
Yeah, that right side.
Mm-hmm. Rich, the Patriots use more two tight end sets than any team in the NFL. And we haven't seen it as much today, but against Pittsburgh, they were using 4 tight ends inside the red zone.
It's a great point, Kevin. And what happens is you have to make a decision as a defense. So they bring in the bigger tight ends, and then you think to yourself, well, it's a running formation. We're going to bring in extra linebackers. That's what Pittsburgh did. And what did Brady do? They threw the football. And so, you really have to kind of pick your poison.
Mario Butler, who replaced Darby last week because of leg cramps, is in to replace him right now. 2nd down and 10. Brady. And he's got the former Buffalo Bills, Scott Chandler, brought down by Graham among a couple. It is a gain of 9. Chandler had a touchdown reception week 1 against Pittsburgh.
And you also have the luxury, Kevin, of having a quarterback that can get you in the right play at the right time. I mean, if he sees a situation where you go with the smaller people, then he's going to run it. If he sees where you bring in extra linebackers and you have the matchup, then he's going to throw it. That's what you get with 16 years of experience in the same system.
It's 3rd and 1. 5 DBs, 6 on the line. Brady, Dobson, 1st down. Brought down by Gilmore, takes it to the 29-yard line of Buffalo. 10-yard pickup.
And that's all on Brady. He motions in Gronk to block. He knows the pressure's coming, and they just dump it to the flat to Dobson.
I always think about how much volume, how much the quarterback's got to process when he looks over that defense.
And I don't think there's anybody whose clock is as fast as Brady's when it comes to playing the game.
Former Buffalo Bill Chandler, he spent some time here, of course, 5 seasons. He makes the grab, he goes for 8, but he's setting his protections. Brady is. He's trying to canvas the defense. There's a lot on his plate, as there is every quarterback.
Yeah, but Kevin, you mentioned his ability to process information so quickly and efficiency at the line of scrimmage.
Lewis on 2nd and 2, knifes his way, slips his way, and he's down to the 8. 13-yard pickup. Dion Lewis, 1st and goal to go, New England.
Well, he's so elusive. He has that jump cut spin move that helps him slip tackles, and he can make a cut without losing speed. He's got that quick stop and start moves that just make it so difficult on a defender.
That's 1st and goal. Flag is thrown, and we got an offensive penalty.
False start. Offense. Number 67. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Rich, think what Brady has done on this drive. A 19-yard catch and run by Edelman. 27-yard catch and run Gronkowski. 9-yard pass to Chandler. 10-yard pass to Dobson. 13-yard run by Lewis. A lot of people getting their hands on it.
They do a good job spreading you out, and I think we talked about it. They've got to find a way to slow Brady down some, and it's not easy.
Darby's still out. 6 in the secondary. It's 1st and goal. Lewis, big hole. Twine with the block at the guard, and he corkscrews his way to the 3. Lewis with a gain of 10 on the heels of a 13-yard run moments ago.
I think the challenge with a back like Lewis, Kevin, is that sometimes you lose him behind that big offensive line. He's only 5'8", 195 pounds. It's hard to find him.
Michael Williams, tight end, will be the fullback for Blunt. Here are the two tight ends, bottom of your screen. There's a third going wide, Chandler. 4 of them in there. Second and goal at the 3. Brady through the hands of Chandler. And the coverage on the play by Aaron Williams.
Well, that's what you want. You've got Aaron Williams, who's 6 foot tall. Then you've got Chandler, who's 6'7".
Brady now has it 3rd and 3, and on this drive on 3rd and 6, he hit Gronkowski. On 3rd and 1, he hit Dobson. Tight ends again, all over the place, 4 of them.
Same formation we just saw, same shift.
Blunt is in the backfield. Brady, Chandler, bobbled, dropped. And the coverage continues, and again, it is Aaron Williams out of Texas.
Same exact formation, same shift, same play, except the previous play, Chandler runs the slant. Now he comes right back with the fade route. And Aaron Williams isn't having any of it. He's able to get that right hand in there and rip it out.
They will go for 3. 21-yard field goal try by Stephen Gostkowski. Late in the first half, he had a 46-yarder. This is the opening drive of the second half. It's 27-13 New England. About 5 minutes gone in the third quarter. Never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play, every story, and every highlight right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now. Well, the Buffalo defense held the Patriots to 3 instead of 6.
That's huge. Now you get yourself in a 2-score game, and sometimes when you're struggling a little bit on offense, a big play, a big return in the kicking game can get you right back in it. They've got a guy back there in Percy Harvin that can score anytime he touches the ball. Problem is he doesn't get a chance on these kickoffs. Gostkowski kicks him out of the back of the end zone every time.
They all seem to.
Yeah, moving the ball up to the 35. It's too easy for these guys.
Retooled Buffalo team. Kyle Orton was the quarterback last year for most of the season. Fred Jackson is gone. C.J. Spiller gone. Here's the kickoff by Gostkowski. Returnable. Harvin, one of the replacements from the 2 with the acceleration and the tackle. And he's brought down by Watson. Dakota Watson, signed this week, brings him down. 20-yard return. Here comes Tyrod Taylor.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Honda, the power of dreams.
Famous wings being prepared. Tyrod Taylor has thrown a touchdown pass. He's thrown 2 picks, and he begins after the New England field goal at his own 22 with the 1st and 10. To fake to McCoy. Looking on the sideline, flag is thrown. Malcolm Butler was down there defending Sammy Watkins. High pick out of Clemson a year ago.
I think Watkins was even able to make the catch on the boundary. You got him open, you got to hit him.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 14. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
Well, Malcolm Butler's in cover. Just watch Watkins there. I don't really see much. He just, well, I think part of what happens is the corner falls down, slides down, and happens so quickly that they think that they felt that Watkins really pushed him. I think that's a no call. You can see the frustration from Rex Ryan.
Gino Grissom, a rookie, is on the defensive line. 1st and 25 in the Patriots secondary. Blocked by Wood, the center. Buys a bit of time. There's another flag. It was caught by McCoy. He's at the 19, 7-yard pickup.
Well, just to keep checking the ball down, Kevin, in the passing game to LaShawn McCoy in the backs. Having a difficult time throwing the ball down the field.
This is on Buffalo. That's Scott Edwards, there, number 3, our side judge, who's got the ear.
unsportsmanlike conduct on the Buffalo bench.
Buffalo
Half
bench.
the distance from the previous spot. The down count is second down.
Well, that's big. That's either on Rex or someone on his staff.
Last week they were chanting, "We want Tom Brady." Now they're chanting something else. 2nd and 22. McCoy, big hole on the move and from behind. Ridden down by Jamie Collins. Some breathing space for Taylor in the offense up to the 27. 19-yard burst by LaShawn McCoy.
Well, just keep an eye on the right side of this offensive line. They're just going to collapse the left side of that defensive line of the Patriots, and you see LaShawn McCoy. He's already up on the second level. Good job caving in the left side of that defensive line.
Taylor surveys. He shares a birthday with Tom Brady. 3rd down and 4. Blocked by Glenn. Time for Taylor, and he's got the first down. Charles Clay in front of Tevin McCourty. 7-yard pickup to the 35 and a first down.
And I think when you're struggling a little bit in the passing game, your best friend can be the tight end. And they went out and got Charles Clay. They paid him a king's ransom, as Rex told us. And he's a guy that gives them the ability now to attack in the middle of the field vertically. You've got the speed on the outside with Harvin and Watkins, and now you've got a tight end that can do the same thing in the middle.
They say he can block too. 1st and 10. McCoy. Not a lot right there. Selinga brings him down with a gain of a yard. Another flag. This looks like it's against Buffalo.
Holding. Offense number 77.
Glenn.
Penalty. Replay. First down.
He had a couple holding penalties last week against the Colts. Let's go to Coach and James in New York.
A confidence builder for the quarterback.
Yeah, Ryan Melf, 7 yards out, finds Garrett Graham. He was 7 for 7 for 56 yards on the drive as the Houston Texans tie out the Carolina Panthers 10-10.
And I'm sure Rich Gannon knows how important that is. Back to Kevin Harlan.
You got that, James? He does. We were down in Houston last week watching Kansas City beat the Texans. 1st and 20. Going deep, he's looking for Harvin. And the coverage from McCourty and from Terrell Brown. It is 2nd and 20.
Well, this is what Percy Harvin does. He's got great straight line speed, and see Terrell Brown there in pretty good position. He knows he's got help over the top from his safety, Devin McCourty.
Taylor had some pretty good offensive coordinators while he was backing up Flacco in Baltimore, didn't he?
He really did. He had a lot of them, Kevin. First Cam Cameron, and of course Jim Caldwell, Gary Kubiak last year. A number of different coordinators. He's actually 3 in the last 4 years. It's not easy when they're constantly asking him to learn a new system.
Set up the screen. McCoy on 2nd down and 20. There's Hightower. Ooh, with a nice move right there, dousing the oncoming Grissom. He wheels his way to the 35 and picks up 10. And he's not 100%. We began the broadcast today telling you that he suffered a hamstring in preseason game number 1. Didn't play the rest of the summer. And he's still getting his legs under him anyway.
Yeah, he really is. And, you know, I think he looks pretty good to me, Kevin.
Yeah,
I thought he looked pretty good at Friday at practice. I was surprised there was so much talk about whether or not he would play, but he also has a great feel for the passing game. I think it's one of the things that he does really well. He's very patient, especially in the screen game.
With a 3rd and 9 right here, Tyrod Taylor underneath the Robert Woods with his first catch of the second half. Forced out of bounds right there by Devin McCourty. It is a gain of 3.
Well, there's been a lot of talking after the play. These are two teams that don't really care for one another.
There's Edelman. There's a breeze with the punter, Colton Schmidt. Harrison Sanborn is a long snapper. This is Edelman up into that bright Western New York sky looks. Hang time of 4-6 and covered well. Nice job by Duke Williams. 2-yard return, 48-yard punt. Here comes Brady and the Patriots mid-third quarter. Which last week that defense dictated the game against the Colts.
Not today, Kevin. Really, this is the opposite. I mean, the Patriots really controlled the line of scrimmage, and they are dictating right now how this game is played offensively.
After the Buffalo punt from the 17, Tom Brady 1st and 10. Pointing out the mic, the middle linebacker. Brady, Edelman may have heard the footsteps of Jerry Hughes, incomplete.
Well, that's on Tom Brady. You got to see out in front of throws. You can't run Julian Edelman into a head-on collision.
Well, that sounds tough. I mean, just hitting the receiver's one thing.
Well, he's got to feel the backside defensive end drop, and Julian Edelman, he's your good buddy, but you don't run him into those head-on collisions. They can't take that shot to the head.
2nd down 10. He just throws it at the feet like he told us he would last night, at the feet of Lewis. Pressure was there. Kyle Williams and others. Flag is thrown. He said, I just throw it right to the feet of my receivers when their pressure is too strong.
Before the
I feel
pass was
duress.
thrown, holding defense number 28. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and an automatic first down.
12 Buffalo penalties. They had 11 last week against the Colts.
Ronald Darby is going to grab Julian Edelman right there. And we had an interesting conversation with Aaron Williams, the safety, and he said, you know, he's a talented young player, but he doesn't want to ask for help. And he was trying to tell him it's okay to ask for help. You know, you ask for help against Edelman or Brady. If you need it, we'll give it to you, but you have to ask.
By the way, Vollmer back at the right tackle, came in this series. Had injured his finger earlier on. 1st and 10, Amendola. And Corey Graham catches up with him. It's a gain of 3, and he's up to the 25.
We talked about the challenge of going up against a Rex Ryan coach defense and the importance of identification and communication, because it gives you so many different looks, so many exotic looks and pressures. You just simply can't prepare for them all during the course of the week of practice.
Belichick said best thing they do is mix it up. 2nd and 7. Downfield, he's got Dobson with the dive. He jumps back up, takes it to the 49. Belts it on the play by Mario Butler. It's a 24-yard strike and a Patriot first down.
And it starts up front with clean protection and a nice pocket for Tom Brady to step up into, and he just throws a bullet right down the middle of the field to Aaron Dobson.
With a 1st and 10. Gain of a yard. Dobson now 4 catches, 2-yard pickup. And he gets into Buffalo territory to the 49, Dion Lewis.
And I'm really not surprised, Kevin. We haven't seen a lot of their big running back.
Blunt.
Garrett Blunt. This is not that kind of game.
Lewis is in, 2nd down and 8. Palmer the block at the right tackle. And that's caught by Gronkowski, ridden out of bounds by Corey Graham. Takes it deeper into Buffalo territory. 15-yard catch and run to the 34.
He just runs routes like a wide receiver. Look at him get up on the safety. Nice clean break outside, friendly. Working right down the line and making an easy throw for Brady.
5 catches, 82 yards. Brady's got over 300 through the air. He's got a 1st and 10, Dion Lewis. He was drilled after a 1-yard gain. Got a couple there. Mario Williams off that line. Hughes. The Buffalo Bills have spent $250 million on that defensive line. Long-term contracts, big signing bonuses.
Well, it's the strength of their units, the defensive line. 3 members were selected to the Pro Bowl the last season for the 2nd straight year, and for good reason. I mean, this is a really good group. As you said, Kevin, they've got a lot of money tied up in that defensive line.
Carrington is in there now. He is part of that as he comes back to Buffalo. 2nd down and 9. Gronkowski back in, offers the block. That is caught by Dobson. He was working on Nickel Roby. Picks up 12 on 2nd down and 9. Another New England first down.
Well, you see the different hand signals from Brady. He does a lot. He takes care of the protection. He's signaling the receivers, the adjustments. It's nice to have a big receiver. Dobson, 6'3", guy that can make those catches in the middle of the field.
Again, pointing out the mic. The linebackers, all quarterbacks do. It dictates the blocking up front, 1st and 10. Brady, dropped by Dobson. Walk me through that, Rich. When a why does he always pick that guy instead of saying where the safety is, for instance?
Well, it's a good point, Kevin. So he's got 5 offensive linemen. So you make a Mike declaration. You're saying we're going to block the 4 big guys along the line, and we're going to block this particular player in the middle of the field. Now it tells the running back to my right or my left who he's blocking. It also tells the receiver on the other side of the slot who he's responsible if they bring somebody off the edge. So really sets the protection when you make that call.
2nd and 10. Good explanation. Edelman, and he dives to the pylon. Count it. Touchdown. 22-yard touchdown pass. Brady to Edelman.
Well, you see all the action away, and Julian Edelman, he comes out and he's just under control, and then all of a sudden he turns on another gear, and the guy that's had a tough day, Aaron Williams, he had a couple penalties in the first half, and he's not able to catch up and make the play on Edelman.
And they look at Aaron Williams. Brady threw 4 touchdown passes opening night against the Steeler D. And he's taken a top 10 defense today and thrown 3 touchdown passes. With a beautiful scoring drive of 83 yards, Dobson caught passes of 24 and 12. Gronkowski for 15. And Edelman to the pylon.
That's a good shot there.
It's a great shot.
High def.
They never faced a 3rd down on that drive, which started back at the 17. And as they take a look at Aaron Williams, we will step aside. 3:24 in the 3rd.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
Tom Brady just threw a touchdown pass of 22 yards to Edelman, who dove to the pylon. And in the midst of that play, Aaron Williams, the defensive back, who is down on his back, and an ambulance has just been taken onto the field, and that is not a good sign. But the precautionary tenor of the NFL now has never been stronger. Let's watch it again. That was the play.
It's hard to tell.
It is. Edelman's legs kind of whipped up and caught him beneath the belt, but I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's that right arm or...
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of came down on it funny, and
well, they had filled the RV parking lot here so early in the week, and they were selling tickets for some of the highest prices they had seen for a regular season game. The place was full. They had the Guinness Book of World Record person here to measure the sound as they try to break the Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City all-time mark. And the play of the Patriots has been surgical, and a couple turnovers by Buffalo. Brady has been terrific with his 3 touchdowns and 340 yards. And now the injury to a starter, Aaron Williams. It's taken a little bit of the air out of the building.
it really is. And, you know, it's interesting, Kevin. We talked to Aaron Williams on Friday, and I said, what's the best way to approach Brady? He said the key is to be perfect. The slightest mistake, and he'll make you pay for it. And I think we've seen that a lot today from the Patriots secondary. They've been close, but not close enough, and he just needs a small window. And when you look at Brady, he's dropped back to pass 43 times today. He's only been sacked once. And this is supposedly the best defensive line in football, but it's been a frustrating day for the big guys up front because Brady's been getting the ball out so quickly.
They are assisting Aaron Williams, who is covering Edelman on that touchdown catch and dive for 6. We talked to, as Richard said, we talked to Aaron on Friday at the Bills facility, and you say, you know, when they hired Rex Ryan, the first thing he did was get on the phone and call a lot of players that had played for Rex, and he said they were gushing with praise and said, you're never going to play for a better coach. And Aaron told us, he said, what I saw in training camp, what I've seen through one game, he's been everything and more as advertised.
Yeah, look, this is going to be a good football team. I think Rex will get things turned around here. And it's not like they're starting over on defense either. They had the 4th-ranked defense last year, and they led the league in sacks. And, if you know anything about Rex Ryan, he's made a living out of making life difficult on quarterbacks. It hasn't been the case today, but Rome wasn't built in a day. It's going to take a while. I think they've got a young quarterback, Kevin, that they're excited about. The big challenge for them, I think, offensively, they've had 15 different starting quarterbacks since Jim Kelly. And I think in order to get this thing turned around, they need a long-term answer at quarterback, and they're hoping it's Tyrod Taylor.
Well, think about this. Taylor starts today, the 11th different quarterback to start for the Bills against Brady as they put Aaron Williams on the stretcher. Rob Johnson, Alex Van Pelt, Drew Bledsoe, J.P. Lossman, Kelly Holcomb, Trent Edwards, Ryan Fitzpatrick, E.J. Manuel, Kyle Orton, Thaddeus Lewis. Castle the other day, and although technically he was the starter in that first game against, in fact, Castle warming up right now on the sideline. What that means is anybody's guess.
Well, I think he's warming up. I think he's helping Tyrod Taylor.
Yep.
And Matt Castle is a good guy to have, Kevin, for Tyrod Taylor.
In fact, Rex Ryan and Greg Roman both said that Castle has been, the former Patriot quarterback, has been invaluable. They cut him and then re-signed him before the first game.
So the decision wasn't easy. I mean, I think all 3 quarterbacks, Tyrod Taylor, Matt Castle, and E.J. Manuel, played well in the preseason, and I think they just felt like Tyrod Taylor was the best of all 3, and they felt maybe had the most upside at this point in his career. But I think Castle's a veteran guy, an unselfish player that can really help a young quarterback, and E.J. Manuel, it's kind of been a disappointing start to his career here in Buffalo. He was the 1st-round pick back in 3 years ago, and we saw him play quite a bit his first 2 years, but just kind of an up and down, inconsistent performer for the Bills, and really opened it up this offseason by bringing in Castle and making the decision to sign Tyrod Taylor in free agency. And
there is a great deal of care, and that picture just spoke of that they are taking with Aaron Williams, a defensive back. And he'll probably go immediately to a hospital, though every stadium in the National Football League equipped with a trauma area for x-rays and advanced medical help. But as they've strapped him in, they may take him immediately to a nearby hospital. And when we receive word, we'll receive the message, we will give it off to you and tell you what has happened. A lot on the plate for Rex Ryan. It's a shame to lose a starter like that. Rex is going to call his team together, gather them, talk to them on the sideline. As they
Kevin,
gather their emotions.
They may not win this game. I mean, obviously they're down 33-13 with 3:24 in the 3rd quarter. But how are they going to finish the game? I think that's important. What kind of message are they going to send to the fans here in Buffalo and really to the Patriots and the rest of the teams that watch this film on Monday? Are we going to come out and we're going to finish strong here in the 4th quarter? Are we going to be a physical football team? We're going to clean up some of the mistakes we made earlier in the game. And offensively, what can we do here? Now, this is a great teaching moment, I think, for this football team. It's always important to finish strong in the 4th quarter and carry some of that momentum, some of that confidence into next week.
As you saw, a short prayer by those on the sideline for the Buffalo Bills as your fallen teammate Aaron Williams has been put in the ambulance, which is now just beginning to pull away. So we will update his situation as quickly as we can. This fan base, they sold the most season tickets they have sold in over 2 decades. That's the kind of excitement that Rex Ryan has generated here. And the anticipation for this game heading in was just off the charts.
Yeah, there's not an empty seat here.
Nope.
They've been out there tailgating, seems like all week. This is a faithful crowd here. And in Western New York. They love their football team, and I think they're excited about what Rex Ryan brings to the mix. He brings energy, he brings excitement, he brings passion. Certainly brings confidence to a team that I think needs some of it, Kevin. This is a team that has kind of lost its way. Once proud organization hasn't made the playoffs in 15 seasons.
This is the extra point following the 22-yard touchdown pass. Brady to Edelman. Edelman has caught 2 touchdown passes today. Gostkowski puts it through, and 3:24 to play in the third. 34-13. The reigning Super Bowl champions on top on CBS. Well, the Patriots coming off their 4th World Championship in the last 14 years. Let's go back to the first one, Super Bowl 36. Patriots and Rams met in Super Bowl 36 in the Dome in New Orleans. Brady throwing for 145 and a touchdown. David Patton with the score tied at 17. Adam Vinatieri, the oldest player now in the NFL. He kicked a 48-yard field goal as time expired. It was the first of the 4 for the New England Patriots. And, of course, Super Bowl 50 will be in Santa Clara, just south of San Francisco. And that's the challenge for Belichick and Brady and the New England organization. Tough to repeat. We haven't had one for a long time, Rich. Last time the team repeated was New England.
You know, I always say it's hard to handle success, but I don't know that there's a team in football that's better in terms of handling success. I think Coach Belichick does a great job helping his team to refocus and eliminating distractions. They're as good as any organization in football in terms of eliminating the distractions.
Gostkowski kicks it over Harvin's head. Weekend starts with Kirk Cousins and the Redskins battling rival Eli Manning and the Giants. It's all here on Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network.
It was interesting talking to Coach Belichick about
what you're gonna say.
You know, what happened in the Giants-Cowboys game on Sunday night. That was a great teaching opportunity, great teaching moment. They went back and watched that sequence with the quarterbacks and the offensive coaches. Make sure everybody's on the same page.
Taylor had it knocked away. And just about grabbed. Alan Branch, who started for the Bills in 2013-97. He swatched the ball away, recovered by Buffalo. It is a sack. It's a loss of 5. Sheard jumped on the loose ball and the Bills.
Yeah, Branch just working inside on the rookie right guard. John Miller will knock that ball out of the hand of Tyrod Taylor.
Second down, 15. Look at this one, another loose ball. It's vacuumed in by LaShawn McCoy. And he'll rumble up ahead before he's brought down by Logan Ryan. Takes it to the 21-yard line of the Bills.
It's amazing. They don't even block Jamie Collins. I mean, this is about the 3rd time now he's run right through the A-gap between the center and guard. They don't even block him.
Hey, Cohen!
3rd down and 9. 6 in the Patriots secondary. And the block, now they break through. Jones breaks through and brings him down with another New England sack. Chandler Jones brings him down, dousing him at the 10. And the punting unit comes on, minus 11. A lot of sacks today by New England. 7 of them.
Well, they're having a difficult time up front, Kevin. And it's Chandler Jones is just, he's done a nice job changing things up on the left tackle, Cordy Glenn. At times he's beat him around the edge, at times he's ducked underneath, and that time he just bull rushes him right back into the feet of Tyrod Taylor.
Here's another punt for second-year Colton Schmidt. He is with the win. Amendola on the run, 45-yard line. Room to roam, knifing his way and leaping near the Buffalo 30 with a 16-yard return on a 45-yard punt and a flag. Ruby Dixon was slow to get up on the special teams for the Bills.
During the return, holding by the return team, number 23, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. New England's ball, first down.
Ron Patrick Chung. Brady today.
Well, I got a kick out of what Rex had to say about Brady last night. Most accurate quarterback in the league, makes wide receivers look really good. He's hard to rattle, and he's got a terrific command of the offense, and they really felt like they'd have to mix it up. You can't give him a steady diet, it'll pick you apart, but it just seems like whatever Buffalo has tried defensively, Brady's had an answer for it. 27 of 42, 3 touchdowns. He's picking up right where he left off in week 1 against the Steelers.
Marcus Cannon now going to play the left tackle. taking Solder's place. Vollmer, as we mentioned before, even with the injured finger back in there, 1st and 10.
So he just taps the center on the back.
Fake to Lewis. Offers a block. They go outside. Edelman was covered by Darby. What'd that mean when he was tapping him on the back, do you think?
He said, hey, what are you thinking about tonight? Go get a beer somewhere? Or, after we beat these guys, what do you think? No, I mean, it's just, it's just another way to remind the center. I mean, just tapping him and telling him, hey, everyone sit in. We're going to change the play.
Brady on 2nd down and 10. Gronkowski. Preston Brown rides him down near the 31. Gronkowski continues to put a dent in every defense he plays. 23-yard catch and run, 1st down.
Well, it sounds simple, but you really have to tackle well against a guy like Gronk. And no one had more yards after contact last season than Rob Gronkowski. His run after the catch ability is tremendous, and it's not an easy guy to bring down when you look at his size and his length and his ability to put that free arm out and give you a stiff arm.
105 receiving yards today for Gronkowski. 1st and 10. Brady trying to go deep, goes short underneath. Amendola can't get it with the coverage on the play by Darby. We just got a preliminary word on Aaron Williams, neck injury. Obviously won't return, and we are waiting further news on him.
He's been a terror. No player has had more touchdown receptions since 2010 than Rob Gronkowski, 57.
He used to perform punt, pass, and kick in this building as he was growing up as a 13-year-old. He was involved in punt, pass, and kick here at Wilson.
Look at the middle of the field. It's wide open.
2nd down, 10. Incomplete. Again, Brady doesn't see anything, and Bradham was applying terrific pressure up the middle for the Buffalo defense. He throws at the feet of his receivers, as he did there. 3rd and 10.
You talk about an aggressive approach defensively. Look at this. Look at the middle of the field. It's wide open. And here's Gronk right here. I don't know if Brady just ran out of time with the play clock. Of course, he's got a free rusher in his face.
Duke Williams has taken the place of Aaron Williams. 3rd down and 10. Underneath through the hands of Lewis. Incomplete. Coverage on the play by Stephon Gilmore. And the field goal unit takes the field for the New England Patriots late in the 3rd. Gronkowski has had field goals today of 46 and 22 yards. A 23-yard catch and run by Gronkowski gives him this good field position. A 50-yard try by Gostkowski. Gostkowski, and that is good. From 50 yards away. The lead is 37-13 with the Patriots and 28 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter.
Good snap, good hold, and good kick from Gostkowski. He's one of the better ones in the business, Kevin, and not just in terms of what he does with his extra points and field goals, but his ability to kick the ball deep. There's another guy that's had a terrific day, Rob Gronkowski. 6 catches, 105 yards. Really got it started with this big one in the 1st quarter for 36 yards, the touchdown. And they've tried everything. They put linebackers on him. They put safeties. They put corners. They tried to bracket him, playing inside out, high low.
He's caught 57 touchdown passes from Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. And, I think that there's so much talk this week in Western New York about how to handle 87. And I don't think there's any one way, but I think you make a huge mistake when he's outside the numbers and you leave him in one-on-one coverage.
Gostkowski getting a workout, and that's out of the end zone once again to the 20-yard line for the Buffalo Bills and their quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. Only one more day until the biggest premiere in the universe. You won't want to miss the first new episode of the season, The Big Bang Theory, on its new night tomorrow at 8/7 Central, right here on CBS. Carlos Williams is the running back. They had an open competition in training camp for the quarterback job. Castle, E.J. Manuel, and this guy, Tyrod Taylor, who won it. Here's the rush. Sheard got a hand on him, and Carlos Williams comes up with it and bangs his way into Chung. Taken down by Butler, picks up 11 and a first down for the Bills.
Boy, Taylor hasn't had a lot of time, Kevin, to throw the football. I mean, even when he does get it out, he's been getting hit. Not the biggest guy. Takes courage to sit back there in the pocket.
He gets it off before the end of the third. Carlos Williams, who played safety, then switched to running back at Florida State, picks up 4 on first down and knocked out a play. Let's go to the fourth in Buffalo. We begin the fourth quarter. Tom Brady has thrown 3 touchdown passes, almost 350 yards. Second down 4 with the run. Carlos Williams takes it for 7 into the teeth of that defense. They get the first down up to the 45-yard line of the Bills.
And Kevin, the Patriots defense has really played well. I'm looking at my stat monitor. I don't even know if it's right. They said Taylor's dropped back 22 times. He's already been sacked 7. A really good job, and of course, a big part of that has been Jamie Collins coming off the edge.
First and 10 here.
There's another one.
They got him. Hightower, and then coming through Malcolm Brown. The first-round pick out of Texas. 8th sack right there. And also Silinga was involved in the play.
You know, look at that. They're crowding the line of scrimmage, and you get the pressure up inside. A good pass rush has push up inside and speed off the edge. Hightower, you see him break loose. And, man, they're just going after Tyrod Taylor.
With a second down and 17 right now for Tyrod Taylor. This is Percy Harvin in space and on the move and past the 45 to the 42 of the New England Patriots. 20-yard catch and run, first down, Buffalo.
Well, last week they built an early lead here in Buffalo. Now we're going to find out about Tyrod Taylor. Kevin, can he bring his team from behind? Especially when they need him to throw it more than the 19 attempts he had last week.
First and 10. Taylor, high, uncatchable. The cross there for Clay. You also saw Watkins in the background. They were in the area. Second down and 10. Tyrod Taylor. We mentioned this at the beginning of the broadcast. He was a backup to Joe Flacco for 4 years. So that meant that he could sit and watch and learn.
Yeah, he really was considered a developmental project coming out of Virginia Tech, a 6th-round pick. They said he lacked the desired measurables you like at that position. He's not the tallest guy, but he's very athletic and mobile. And we saw last week he can make plays under duress.
McCoy, grabbing onto him is Rob Ninkovich with a gain of 5. And McCoy will work his way to the 38 with some pushing after the play. Back there, see him? Little conversation with Hogan.
Look at that, 29 dropbacks. He's been sacked 8 times. They've not played well up front. The rookie, John Miller, has had his struggles. Cordy Glenn, we've talked about that, Kevin, the left tackle position. He's had his struggles.
Patriots in the nickel, 3rd down and 5. Wood the center with the block, but here they come once again, and Taylor tries to leap through their coverage. Dante Hightower got him close to a first down to the 33-yard line of New England.
The other thing the Patriots have done a nice job is really keeping the lid on Tyrod Taylor with the scrambles.
They have.
I mean, he had the big one in the first drive, the 23-yard scramble. Other than that, Matt Patricia and his guys have done a great job getting upfield, setting the edge, and doing a good job with a coordinated pass rush around Taylor.
New England.
4th and 1 will step aside. Buffalo and New England. Patriots take the timeout right there, leading 37-13. Tuesday on CBS, it's a matchup you don't want to miss. Stephen Colbert goes one-on-one with Donald Trump this Tuesday on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Out here on CBS, 4th and 1. They're going to go for it with 12:16 to play in the fourth. Trailing 37-13. We've just gotten more word on Aaron Williams. He has been taken to a local hospital. Again, we'll continue to feed you information as we get it. 4th and 1. Handoff there. Carlos Williams corkscrews his way for a first down. Finally brought down by Ninkovich. Picks up 2 on 4th and 1. Move him to the 32 of the New England Patriots and a first down for the Bills.
Another tackle there by Jamie Collins. He's been all over the field today, Kevin. 2.5 sacks. Chandler Jones with 3 sacks.
Patriots have 21 new players, Rich, from their Super Bowl team of a year ago, turning over that roster. 1st and 10, Taylor. Oh, a lot of congestion. Zelinga's after him, and he goes downfield. Caught for a touchdown. Robert Woods. Covered by McCourty. 32-yard strike.
Well, this is what concerns you. Tyrod Taylor getting outside the pocket, extending plays with his legs, and then throwing the ball back across the field. And you look at Malcolm Butler, he was right there to make the play, just kind of overruns it. Robert Woods is able to slip in behind and make the grab.
They'll try for 2. So Taylor today, 19 of 25, 157 through the air, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. One was late in the first half. One interception was. They try for 2 with 11:42 to play in the fourth. Taylor and drop Harvin incomplete. Coverage on the play by Malcolm Butler. So it stays 37-19. 32-yard toss. Taylor to Robert Woods, a high pick out of USC 3 years ago. And the Bills continue to try to chip away at that New England lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's, teaming up with the NFL like never before. Firestone Tires. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone. And by Dodge.
Tyrod Taylor has just thrown a 32-yard touchdown pass to Robert Woods. 37-19 is our score. And the kickoff from Jordan Gay. Everybody up front there for the Patriots, or a good portion of them. Let's see what Buffalo does here. Kick away. Devin McCourty will let this go out of the end zone. It's the goalpost. To the 20-yard line, it'll be 1st and 10. Rich, when you were in these situations, sizable lead on the road, division rival, knowing they just scored, put us in the mind of a quarterback here with what has happened today and what may happen the rest of the way.
Well, I think if you're Tom Brady, you don't want to take your foot off the gas. Kevin, you're playing well. I think at some point, you'll begin to run the football a little bit more effectively. But look, they're going to have a tough time running the football against this Bills front seven. And that's a big reason why we haven't seen LeGarrette Blount. It's not that kind of game. You got to spread these guys out and make the play in space, and that's what the Patriots and Brady have done.
Solder back in at the left tackle. That's incomplete. Throwing it back at Gronkowski. There was a lot of congestion around him. It was interesting to watch Brady operate against Pittsburgh and then watch him today. Everything that has happened to him and circled around him in the offseason, his ability to focus or refocus on the upcoming season.
Well, I think it's as an organization, their ability to handle distractions. And I think they do that as well as anyone. Kevin, I talked about it.
2nd down and 10. Moves up nicely in the pocket and finds his receiver near the 34. It's caught by Dobson. He's had a big day. 14-yard pickup. That is a first down.
We talked about, if you want to lose, have a distraction and not deal with it or handle it because it'll linger. And I think you have to deal with them quickly and effectively. And you get the sense that that's what they did with this whole Deflategate thing that was written. It was written about. It was within days of the AFC Championship game. I think the Patriots put it behind them.
1st and 15. Brady standing tall in the pocket. He's got Deion Lewis across the middle. He's drilled right there. by Rambo. 16-yard catch up the midfield, another first down.
Boy, he's a tough guy because that was a big, big hit by the safety, Bakari Rambo. Sometimes you don't need to see a hit, you can just hear it.
And Brown is the one who wrote him down.
That was one of them.
We felt it up here. 1st and 10. To the other side now, and he's got Chandler. And the former Bill to the 45. And he's brought down by Darby and picks up 5 yards there.
What a luxury to have big tight ends. I mean, you've got Gronk, who's 6'6". They go out and get Scott Chandler. He's 6'7". You just throw it in their area, and they've got a really good chance of coming down with it.
2nd down 5. Brady with 3 touchdown passes today. 399 in his career. Wafting one here, looking for Edelman, and he's got him near the 25. Gilmore was in the vicinity, but Edelman was wide open. It's a catch and a good one for 22 yards with a flag thrown on the play.
Call a pick on the Patriots.
It's against the
Pass
Patriots.
interference. Offense. Number 17. 10-yard penalty. Replay. 2nd down.
Dobson.
Well, Dobson's outside. You'll see him work inside, and then they're going to call that every time. You can't stop and extend your hands. And
Dion Lewis is back in, but he's wide. Couple tight ends on the near side. 2nd down and 15. Seven in the secondary for Buffalo. Brady, Edelman, and brought down by Nickel Roby with a gain of 5 to the 48 to New York, and James Brown.
Cam Newton having his way, Coach.
Yeah, 2nd touchdown pass of the day. This one to Corey Brown from 36 yards out. Pretty much seals the victory for the Carolina Panthers. He ran for a touchdown as well as they lead 24-10 with 8 minutes to go.
Back to Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon.
Houston, Rich to go to 0-2.
never a good thing when you replace your starting quarterback in week 1, Kevin. Could be a long season for the Texans.
Mallett, the former Patriot quarterback, started 3rd and 9. Brady's found his receiver again, this time the running back. It's Lewis, hit by Rambo. Shy of the 40-yard line, very close to a first down.
And this is what's given Rex Ryan's defense fits over the years. Small backs that can play on the line of scrimmage, in the slot, out wide. And this scheme is all about matchups, and Dion Lewis, Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman. These are tough matchups for the Buffalo Bills.
Shaq Mason is coming as the fullback. LeGarrette Blount is in back of him, 4th and 1. By the way, Mason came in and declared himself ineligible.
He's the fullback position.
Yep. Timeout taken, 8:16, 4th quarter. All Patriots. Tom Brady has thrown for 413 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's on the move late in the 4th, late in this game at the 41 of Buffalo. Belichick has decided to put his offense out there on 4th and 1. Mason will be a fullback. Not quite sure where to go. Blount is the tailback. There he is.
Oh, you got him.
Brady's going deep. He's looking for Edelman and just overshoots him with the coverage on the play by Gilmore. And on downs, Brady holding his head. He knew he had him.
Brady.
Yeah, look at that.
Well, they got just what they wanted. They packed him in, and now they send Gronk down the middle of the field, and Julian Edelman. He had either one. He just overthrows Edelman. That's a throw that Tom Brady would love to have back. Look at, he thought he had him.
He thought he had. Guy who was so important for him in the 4th quarter of Super Bowl 49, who caught the 4 passes for 54 yards and a touchdown. New England beat Seattle. 1st and 10 on downs. It goes. Here's McCoy. Weaving, steering, swerving, brought down finally on the play by Jamie Collins. Nice run of 13. The meandering McCoy takes it down to the 47-yard line of New England. He looks pretty good for a guy with a bad hammy.
Yeah, he does, Kevin.
He looks pretty good. Taylor 1st and 10. The sideline he'll work here. He's got Harvin. It's right in front of Terrell Brown with a gain of 5. And he's down. Flag is down to the 41-yard line of the Patriots.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Well, there have been 11 penalties on the Patriots today. Now 13 on the Buffalo Bills.
The right tackle, Chantrell Henderson.
It'll bring up 1st and 20.
Sloppy, you're right, Kevin. 13 penalties. I mean, it's just, you're not going to beat a team like the Patriots doing that.
No further word on Aaron Williams. We just told you the update on the defensive back hurt earlier in the game. Neck injury. Here comes McCoy on 1st and 20. Charges right up the middle to the 49 of Buffalo. Aaron Williams was taken to a local hospital. It appeared to be very serious, obviously. Anytime an ambulance comes out on the field and they put you on the stretcher and make you immobile, that is enough for concern, but very precautionary too, the way these medics handle that. 2nd and 14. And it's Watkins who fights into the defense of Fletcher and Chung. And he's down to the 41 of New England with a gain of 10. We will update him when we get more information on Aaron Williams, the injured defensive back, starter for the Buffalo Bills.
The Patriots playing a lot more conservative with their shell on the back end, just playing a little bit more off coverage, trying to keep everything in front of them.
They play the nickel here, 5 in the secondary, 3rd down and 4 for Buffalo. Tyrod Taylor, 167 through the air, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. There goes Rufus Johnson. There goes Tyrod Taylor. Slides for the 1st down. He's got it in the late hit, they say, on Collins after the run of 5 for the 1st.
Well, it's not easy to pull off, Kevin. And you're trying to make a play at the last second. The quarterback slides. The rules are the rules, but that's a tough spot to be in if you're Jamie Collins. The officials are talking about it. Get a good look at it there. Doesn't hit him in the head. He
just foul for unnecessary roughness. The defender committed to the tackle as the quarterback began his slide. 1st down.
I think it's the right call. I really think it's the right call. I mean, he's trying to make a play. It's not like he goes in high and tries to forearm to the head. All these rules. When I played, you could hit him, you could step on him, you could kick him after the play. There's no problem.
You broke a neck that way when Siragusa flopped on you. 1st and 10. Taylor, look at the footwork. Now they chase him with Dinkovich. Oh, and they got Harvin. And from behind, knocked away by Fletcher, but knocked out of bounds. Rex Ryan told us yesterday, said the Patriots study tape of how to knock the ball away, strip the ball away from opposing carriers. There's a flag on the play too. He said they study it more than maybe any other team in the league.
And they work on it. They work on it every day in practice.
Illegal contact. Defense. Number 54. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is a 1st down.
Yeah, they work on ball extraction. You'll see Tyrod Taylor throw the ball to Percy Harvin. Now keep an eye in the back of your screen there, and Bradley Fletcher, he comes in and pokes it out.
Harvin may have been carrying that ball a little bit loosely, and Matt Patricia makes his guys study that tape, sees who and who doesn't.
They've got a scouting report on every player in terms of how high they handle the ball, if they handle it loosely. And
1st and 10, McCoy. Ninkovich can't get him. Chung can't get him. Finally runs out of real estate. Now that 1st and 10, he runs for 4. He takes it down to the Patriots 6.
I've been impressed with LeSean McCoy.
I have too.
Today. I think he's really going to help them, not just in terms of the running game, but the passing game. And even Tyrod Taylor, he's made some mistakes, but he's 21 of 27. He's thrown a couple touchdowns, and his elusiveness, his ability to extend plays. He's going to be an exciting quarterback to watch this season in the AFC East.
McCoy, 15 carries, 89 yards, 27 receiving yards today. 2nd down, 6. Timeout. They've got 2 left. Well, 5.5 to go in the 4th.
Well, they burned a couple timeouts in the 1st half last week. Some confusion You see Tyrod Taylor, look at his play sheet there on that left wrist.
Well, coming up, the Subway postgame show is being put together for you right now in New York with JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowler. Scores, news, and highlights. That's all coming up on the Subway postgame report. You use the term build a bully. That's what Rex wants to do. It's going to take some time, as you can see. But I still think if this one carries out the way it is, this is an optimistic fan base and an optimistic organization about where they're pointed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly they're trending in the right direction. They've got a really good defense that hasn't played as well today. But Tom Brady, Kevin's made a lot of good defenses look silly.
Yes.
You get a score here, you go for two, you can make this a 10-point game.
18-point game now, 2nd down and 6, and Taylor will take it himself, called his own number, and he gets into the end zone for a Buffalo Bills touchdown. On the quarterback draw, 7-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, look at that. This is what you want to do with your talented quarterback who's a great runner. Design quarterback draw.
So Taylor has thrown for 2 touchdowns. He's had a touchdown run himself. Carlos Williams, the rookie running back, has had a touchdown run on the first drive of the game where they went 80 yards. Lickety split. Trying for 2 here. Harvin. The sweep read beautifully by McCourty. So again, they fail on getting 2. And it stays 37. With the missed 2-point conversion here, Harvin into that 37-25 New England late in the 4th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Red's Apple Ale. Pick different. And by a Subway footlong. There's nothing bigger, nothing better. Subway. Eat fresh.
Bills just got a 7-yard touchdown run by their quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, who continues to look with Greg Norman and some of the pictures taken from upstairs. Jordan Gay will kick off. He has never succeeded on an onside kick. Carpenter, on the other hand, is 2 of 4 in his career. And the flag is thrown. Did not go the mandatory 10 yards.
With a lot of penalties today, my goodness.
Most ever in this rivalry between the Bills and the Patriots. Yeah,
between the two teams. 13 for Buffalo and 11 for the Patriots. 119 yards and penalties for the Patriots. Coach Belichick won't be pleased with that, and nor will Coach Ryan. 118 yards and penalties.
And those are just the accepted penalties. Cannon back at the right tackle for New England, down to the field.
3 fouls on the play. All by the kicking team. Offside, number 15 is declined. Illegal block before the ball went 10 yards by the kicking team. That's also declined.
How about number 3?
Foot kickoff out of bounds. That penalty will be accepted. The ball will belong to New England at the spot where it went out of bounds. First down.
Well, at halftime, we came out and took a look at your keys for the second half, and let's see how they have developed or not developed.
Well, I felt it was important for the Patriots offense, Kevin, to keep attacking, and they kept pouring on the gas offensively and even defensively. No explosive plays. Nice job containing Tyrod Taylor for the most part. And I think you look at offensively, they didn't abandon the running game, but it wasn't as effective. And of course, I think the biggest disappointment today for Buffalo, just the 1 sack of Brady. You let Brady drop back 54 times here in Buffalo, and he's only sacked once. That's a problem.
Brady on 1st and 10. Gronkowski hit by Manny Lawson. Knocked down by Brown. 35-yard line of Buffalo. It is a gain of 8. as he closes in on touchdown pass number 403 today.
What an accomplishment. I think you look at the sack differential. Kevin, the Patriots 8 sacks today, and the Buffalo Bills with 3 Pro Bowlers along that defensive line, just a single sack. And credit the offensive line for the Patriots. Credit that guy right there for sorting through all the traffic and the communication and the identification and getting the ball out quick and not taking sacks.
Brady with a second down and 10. Oh, knocked away by Hughes, and picked up by Darius, loose still, and recovered by Brown. Preston Brown vacuums it into midfield. Second Patriot turnover today. Buffalo will get it at midfield with 2 timeouts.
Well, that's where the pressure comes from. You see Jerry Hughes, he's matched up on Solder. He tries to cut him, and he doesn't go to the ground. Tom Brady never feels the defensive end come off the edge.
So Taylor in the offense out there. Looking into the nickel will be Tyrod Taylor. Last possession, 7-yard touchdown run. Possession before that, touchdown pass to Woods. Moves up. And has his receiver, Robert Woods. Down the sideline he goes to the New England Patriot 25 with a 25-yard catch and run.
Wow, check out Tyrod Taylor. His ability to move around in the pocket, feel the rush, slide, reset himself, keep his eyes down the field, keep the ball in a throwing position. I mean, this is what he does so well. Making plays on the move outside the pocket.
Keeps his eyes downfield, too. 1st and 10. Going deep. He's looking for Watkins. Touchdown.
Boy, Tyrod Taylor and the Buffalo Bills offense really showing some fight here, Kevin, in the 4th quarter. And a really nice release by Sammy Watkins. He goes right by Bradley Fletcher. We talked about the struggles he had last year in Philadelphia. 1-2, he gets them both down.
Now the extra point. Bills have missed 3 today. A kick and 2 two-point tries. This is for 1, and it is good. From Dan Carpenter. It's a 5-point game with 4:16 to play. 3 consecutive scores by the Buffalo Bills. A touchdown pass to Woods of 32. A touchdown run by the Bills quarterback Tyrod Taylor of 7. And right there, a 24-yard touchdown pass. Taylor to Sammy Watkins.
Well, now things are getting interesting as this crowd comes to life, Kevin. And Buffalo just down by 5 with 2 timeouts to go. Now they can kick the ball down the field and play some defense. Get the ball back for their offense that's come to life here late in the 4th quarter.
Again, the Bills with 3 missed extra points, a kick and a 2.2 two-point tries. You can add that up and see what it would take you on that score. The Bills' last 3 drives, 10-play, 80-yard drive, 7-play, 59-yard touchdown drive, and 2 plays and a 50-yard touchdown. And a fumble by Brady gave him great position at the 50, and they cash in. And now this crowd is alive, as Rich said. Back in it with the ensuing kickoff from Jordan Gay. Lewis is back. We'll leave it in the end zone. Touchback to the 20.
It's amazing how quickly things can change in this business, Kevin. You and I were just talking 10 minutes ago about, what are the Patriots going to do with this big lead, and said maybe bring in LeGarrette Blount and start taking the air out of the football and start running it. Now all of a sudden, We're in a fist fight here. 37-32 with 4:16 to go. As I mentioned, Buffalo still has 2 timeouts left.
Jackson is at the right guard. They have a rookie right guard. They have a rookie center, and Klein is the left guard. Amendola, Edelman, Gronkowski, and Dobson are the wideouts. It's 1st and 10 for Brady. Quick throw, short drop. Edelman out in front of Darby. Roby is there as well. Falling down, 6-yard pickup. He's out to the 26-yard line of New England.
They just go right to work through the air. And their MO today has been to throw it in the early downs. A lot of quick, short, intermediate throws that have been very effective against Rex Ryan's defense.
It's 2nd down and 4. Bolden is in, offered a block. Edelman has it. He is right in front of Graham. It's a 6-yard pickup. It is a 1st down to the 32 of New England.
It's almost, I think it might have been the same exact play, Kevin, we saw on 1st down. Motion across the formation and the quick throw to Edelman.
Subway postgame show coming up. JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher scores, highlights, and news all next on the Subway postgame show from our CBS studios in New York. Buffalo out of timeouts. Patriots, now Buffalo's got 1. Disappear there for a second. 1-1 in the timeout category with 3:24 to go in the 4th.
Well, Buffalo's defense, Kevin, they've got to come up with a stop.
Left 5 in the secondary. It is a 1st and 10 for Brady. Good block by Solder. Looking for Dion Lewis. Coverage on the play by linebacker Nigel Bradham, and the flag is down.
Well, they tried to double move Nigel Bradham with Dion Lewis. He goes up the field. He stops, and then he tries to go by him.
Pass interference. Defense, number 53, early contact, not playing the ball. Automatic first down, spot of the foul.
You see right at the end here, Nigel Bradham never turns around and plays the ball or even finds it.
A 22-yard penalty puts him at the 46 of the Bills. A timeout apiece, 3:19 to play.
Well, again, the whole middle of the field is wide open. They bring Edelman in to block. They're going to take a shot.
Lewis blocks, and they go deep, and he is looking. What a catch made by Amendola with Roby on him. What a grab. Looking into that bright sun, Danny Amendola comes up with a terrific catch. Gain of 29 yards to the 17.
What an incredible catch and concentration by Danny Amendola. Question is whether that actually hits the ground as he's coming down, but great concentration. Look at him stretch out to make that play.
First catch today. Brady 1st and 10. Goes outside to Dobson, who is met by Gilmore, who makes the grab after a gain of 6. They'll put him at the 11 of the Bills. And a timeout, Buffalo. Their last. 2:28 to play in the 4th. So they got Edelman for a 6 and a 4-yard pass completion. They had the 22-yard penalty, and Amendola came up with a terrific 29-yard diving reception.
And on back-to-back plays, you got to give Josh McDaniel a lot of credit, Kevin, in terms of his design. They bring in, Brady motions in, Julian Edelman on the throw to Amendola, and he blocks. And on this last play, they do the same thing with Rob Gronkowski. Brady short motions him in, he blocks the 1 edge. So they're doing a great job. How are they handling the blitz and the pressure? By bringing in receivers and tight ends to block.
So Buffalo is out of timeouts. Watch it here.
Yeah, he's going to come all the way across, and he winds up blocking on the back of the formation. And that gives Brady just enough time to make the throw down the field.
He got Rambo with the block, and Amendola with a sensational catch. It's 2nd down and 4 at the Bills' 12. Blunt is in. And a rookie offensive lineman, Mason, is the fullback. Mason the block, but not much of one. And Blunt was tied up, looked like Kyle Williams at the bottom of the pile, and there is no gain. And the clock continues to tick. The ball is at about the 12.
I'll just run this down to the 2-minute warning.
At one time, New England led by 24 points in this second half. 3 consecutive scores for the Bills, but now out of timeouts, trailing by 5 on CBS 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning, 3rd and 5 for the New England Patriots, leading by 5. Buffalo is out of timeouts. The Bills have scored 19 unanswered fourth quarter points, but Buffalo has missed 3 extra points, a kick and 2 two-point conversions.
Well, the big question here is, do you run the football and try and pick up the first down? If you don't get it, you kick the field goal. You still run plenty of time off the clock, and you give the ball back up 8. Or do you allow Brady to throw it one time?
Blunt in the backfield. 3rd down and 5. Brady, Blunt, and climbs his way down near the 7 and very close to a first down.
Well, that's the right call. You run about 40 seconds off the clock. You come in and kick the field goal, and it's an 8-point game. And you give the ball back to the Bills after the kickoff with less than a minute to go.
So here comes the field goal unit on 4th down. And today, Gostkowski has nailed him from 50, 21, and 46. The chains will come out for a more accurate measurement. Pretty short, as you can see. Now, would you go for this, or would you kick the 3?
No, you got to kick the 3 in this situation. I mean, it's not even a discussion. I mean, you're up by 5, Kevin. I think you just kick the field goal, and you go up by 8, and
they can run the clock here to about 116, 117 if they so choose.
Yeah, but if you don't get it, you go for it here, and you don't get it, you give them a chance to get the ball back, and they're able to score a touchdown. They win the game, as opposed to them having to score a touchdown and also convert a 2-point two-point conversion.
The hold comes from the punter, Ryan Allen. Joe Cardona, a rookie from Navy. A long snapper, 25-yard field goal by Stephen Gostkowski. No timeouts, Buffalo. He puts through another. He has kicked 4 today, that from 25, and the lead is 8. Stopping a run of 19 unanswered fourth quarter points by the Bills.
Let's see if Tyrod Taylor's got any more magic left, Kevin. Really made some big-time throws here in the fourth quarter. Need a big return. Need a big return, and they haven't really had an opportunity because Gostkowski's done a great job kicking the ball so deep in the back of the end zone or out of the end zone. But if you could get a short kick and get the ball in the hands of Percy Harvin and maybe get it out around the 40-yard line, you're that much closer, and you can take some shots to the end zone.
Brady threw 59 times today, as you can see. Gronkowski over 100. Taylor with a 23 of 29 day through the air. Last week he was 14 of 19. Watkins, who did not catch a pass last week, has 6 with a touchdown reception today for the Bills.
Oh, another great kick.
He'll be out of the end zone once again. Harvin was back there, so from the 20 and no timeouts and 1:15 left. That is in front of Tyrod Taylor.
Well, you just can't take a sack. I mean, throwing the ball away, not going to hurt you in this situation. You got to be able to use the boundary. Receivers got to be able to get out of bounds quickly. And the offensive line, in the event of a big completion down the field, Kevin, they really have to hustle. Get up there and give Tyrod Taylor a chance to spike the ball.
7 defensive backs for the New England Patriots. Taylor with a 1st and 10. And the windup, and it's off the hands of Watkins, and on the ricochet, it's intercepted by New England and grabbed by Logan Ryan. And that will seal the New England win.
Well, another high throw by Tyrod Taylor. Not an impossible catch. But when you throw it high, these things happen. We saw it earlier in the first half, a high throw in the direction of Charles Clay. His tight end got tipped and resulted in an interception. And Logan Ryan in the right place at the right time makes a nice catch away from his body to seal the victory.
Brady has thrown 7 touchdown passes on the season, no picks, 3 interceptions thrown by Tyrod Taylor. As they go to a knee, Buffalo out of timeouts, and the clock will tick off.
Well, he did such a great job last week, Kevin, not getting sacked and not turning the football over. Certainly not the case today. He was sacked 8 times and the 3 interceptions. You just, against a Brady-led team, you just can't give this guy extra opportunities, and certainly a learning experience for the young quarterback.
3 turnovers for the Bills, 8 sacks allowed, 14 penalties, 3 missed extra points. As Belichick and Ryan will meet. The New England Patriots will go to 2-0. The Buffalo Bills will even at 1-1. It was short and sweet.
Not a lot said there.
Nope.
Good game.
There are 2 teammates from the past, Castle along with Brady. Rob Gronkowski over 100 yards receiving today, and Tom Brady for 466 through the air and 3 touchdown passes. Coming up next, the Subway postgame show. For Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan, so long from Orchard Park, New York. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.